Alrighty, so this is a little impromptu stream I'm just doing for funsies, really. For context, for people watching the VODs and whatnot, I had to cancel the normal stream today. Today's a Pathfinder day, so I had to cancel the normal stream due to various circumstances outside of my control, which basically meant that I would be delaying the stream significantly. And given how long these streams tend to go, I would probably be playing until like 10 o'clock at night again, which is not great because I got to do a stream tomorrow as well and also need to eat, amongst other things. So I decided to take the day off. But there is one thing I can do which realistically should not take too much time. And it's something that I've been meaning to do as well. Head over to the flesh markets here. So yeah, this is just something that I've been meaning to do for a little bit with the game. Something that doesn't really fit in appropriately to any other stream. It's not something I can spend really a lot of time on in a normal stream, because it would just be a time sink. But I can spend a couple minutes or an hour, however long it would be right now that I'm fed and watered and everything else is taken care of, just going over prestige classes. Which is something I kind of did not touch on a great deal during the initial character creation stream, where I spent like 2 hours just going over all the character options. Oh yeah, I gotta do that later. I'll do that at some point. I need a skill partner. 128. Christ. Okay, well, before I do that, let's do a quick save there. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be... Actually, you know what? Hold on. Let me do this correctly. I'm just going to go dump everybody off camp. I don't need my party for this. In fact, it's more of a detriment than anything. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through, I'm going to take a look at all the prestige classes, you know, what their abilities are, sort of go across what they have, what's unique to them, and see if there's anything new, because, just as an example, I had no idea how the Loremaster worked, because the Loremaster in this game functions very differently than it does in the normal game. So yeah, it'll just be a good practice to go through it. Also, at some point in the future, I'm probably going to put together a video detailing classes in a very quick, easy to put through manner, which will be like an edited thing, so that'll be on the other channel, not the StreamBot channel. That's something to take care of in the future. So this is good for me to go through and see what they have, since I don't know, actually, prestige classes very well. I know a handful of them in general in the game. Like, I know... Oh yeah, let me do this again. Save real quick. There we go. Alright, so I know a handful of prestige classes. As far as the ones in the game here go, I know Aldori Swordlord and Duelist to some degree, Mystic Theurge, and Eldright Knight. I know also these two are relatively simple, all things considered. Loremaster I've learned a bit about. Assassin and Arcane Trickster I know a little bit about as well, and Winter Witch. And of course Hellknight, because Regel's a Hellknight. The ones I don't really know particularly well are Student of War, Hellknight Signifier. I think this is the mage one. Dragon Disciple, Stalwart Defender, and like, again, like I'm not very well versed in all these ones. It's kind of I'm very iffy on a lot of these. So we're just going to go through and we're going to set up all these different characters, and thankfully I have enough money to pay some mercenaries so I can just go through that, reload, and keep hitting it. So we're going to head first for Aldori Swordlord. In order to qualify for that, we need mobility. Let's see. Mobility 3, Persuasion 5, Knowledge World 3, Perception 3, Dazzling Display, Weapon Finesse, Proficiency in Dueling Sword, and Weapon Focus Dueling Sword. Easiest way to qualify for that is going to be Fighter, Aldori Defender. That'll get me Actually, that'll get me pretty much everything. So this gets me how many skill ranks per level again? 2? 2 plus int. So Swordlord is going to need 4. So I need to have an int modifier plus 2. Then Dazzling Display and Weapon Finesse. So Dex 13. Alright. Oh, actually, I can pick one that gives me an int bonus. You know what? Let's go Elf. Elf will fit that. It doesn't really matter. So, I need 13 dex. $14 int. Anything else? Yeah, that should do it. Okay, so what was it? Mobility... Mobility, persuasion, knowledge, perception. Why do I only... Okay. Mobility, perception, persuasion, knowledge, world. Perfect. Alright, now feat. We're going to get weapon focus, dueling swords, since I have proficiency with it. Bonus combat feat. What do I need to get Dazzling Display? I already qualify. There you go. Doesn't really matter. Abadar, lawful neutral. And she doesn't get added to my party immediately. That's annoying. Back to the Nexus. With that, though, I should qualify for every single part of the Prestige class. You know, I probably should just... Okay, there we go. Alright, so... Aldori Swordlord requires... Dazzling Display, Weapon Finesse. Let me grab that. And Mobility 3, Persuasion 5, Knowledge World. So just level 5. Once hit level 5, we'll be good. So Weapon Finesse, next level. I don't understand why the skill ranks do that. It's very annoying. Okay, and then it doesn't really matter what else I get here. Ah, Persuasion's the one that needs to go up to 5. Got it. Doesn't really matter. Alright, and after this level... There we go. So now, after doing all that, I qualify for Aldori Swordlord. Now, Aldori Swordlord is a prestige class which is basically all about using the Aldori dueling sword. Swordlord can add dexterity bonus to damage rolls made with a dueling sword instead of a strength bonus, so it's good for dex builds. Bonus on damage rolls applies whether the Swordlord is wielding a dueling sword one-handed or two-handed. Swordlord cannot use this ability if he's wielding a sword or using an offhand weapon, including armor spikes, unarmed strikes, or natural weapons. So that's actually interesting, because I feel like that implies that if you have improved unarmed strike, as long as you're two-weapon fighting, it does not work. But I don't really know if this game has the ability to do one or the other. Like, I don't know if it has the ability to go, okay, you have improved unarmed strike, but you're not using it as an offhand attack, so you still get it's weird. One thing you could do though is you could actually wield a like all it says is as long as you are not using a weapon. So if you don't use unarmed strikes or natural weapons, oh, it actually does say a shield. It actually does say a shield, so you can't use a buckler either. Which is why, again, this is weird. Because this would be great for Crane style, because you can have the... Wait, no, I'm thinking of Turtle style, but Turtle style is not in this game, so that doesn't matter. What you would probably do in this game is you probably do Turtle style, which if you have an offhand, you get to use it as a shield bonus, effectively. I would do that and have that there to give you the shield bonus, which is pairs up well with this. Or... I feel like there's another... No, Turtle style is probably the main one, because you get, like, a bunch of extra stuff for having an offhand as well. One thing you could do, though, is you could actually take stuff like snatch arrows. So, deflect arrows, you know, you block the arrow coming in, but you can actually snatch arrows with this, because you have a hand free. Anyway. On top of that, adds a bonus equal to half his class level on persuasion skill checks made to intimidate. Also gains a +1 bonus on persuasion skill checks made to intimidate while using dazzling display with a dueling sword for each one of the following feats he has with that. So as your sword becomes better, you get the ability to intimidate more effectively using dazzling display. I did use this during my Aeon playthrough, although I did not take Aldori Swordlord, which would have been a better pick. So it's a little unfortunate, but I didn't know about that at the time. This would have been a perfect match for what I had, though. Defensive parry. Aldori Swordlord gains a +1 bonus to his AC against melee attacks when making a full attack with a dueling sword. If the Aldori Swordlord is a fighter with the Aldori Defender fighter archetype, levels in this class stack with fire levels when determining the AC bonus from this ability. So because I'm a level 5 fighter, I only have a bonus of 1, which would stack up with that one. Or rather, it would stack up to 2. And just keep going on like that. Adaptive Tactics. 4th level, Aldori Swordlord learns to adapt his fighting style to counter his enemy's strengths. Aldori Swordlord reduces the attack roll penalty for fighting defensively for using combat expertise by 1 at a 4th level and by 2 at 8th level. In addition, after a creature attacks an Aldori Swordlord for the first time, he attempts a perception check. If successful, the Swordlord gains a +2 circumstance bonus on attack rolls and to his AC against that creature until the end of combat. So just, if you get attacked, you have the ability to up your AC by a little bit against that enemy. That said, 10 plus the opponent's BAB for a perception check is actually pretty hard in this game. Because a lot of enemies will have a base attack bonus in, like, the 20s minimum. Alright, Shatter Confidence. When the Aldori Swordlord attempts a persuasion skill check to intimidate and demoralize his target as a free action, after he confirms a critical hit. Oh, okay, so if you confirm a crit or succeed at a disarm or sunder combat maneuver with a dueling sword, you get to make a free intimidate check. The target is already shaken. You can, once per round, okay, wait. If the target is already shaken, then can once per round attempt a persuasion check to intimidate and demoralize the target further after any successful melee attack or combat maneuver. If he succeeds at this check, the target suffers an additional -1 penalty on morale, attack, and saving throws, and loses all morale bonuses to these checks. That's a weird one. Once per round, attempt a persuasion check to intimidate and demoralize the target further. Attempt a persuasion check. Okay, wait. Okay, so I think the first half and the second half of this ability are actually don't trigger off of each other. So the first half is on a crit, you get a free intimidate. The second half is if you're already hitting something that's intimidated, you can also attempt to re-intimidate it for the extra penalty. I think that's what it says. Okay, so after that, we get Saving Slash. 6th level, when wielding a dueling sword, an Aldori Swordlord can try deflecting a crit targeting him, reducing its damage to that of a normal hit. Okay, so that's basically just a built-in fortification ability, and I'm guessing at this one, yep, 50%. Dexterous Duelist. Does not provoke attacks of opportunity when standing up from prone. Okay, Duelist has the ability, it's like a swashbuckler thing. Rogue has stand-up as well. Just a basic ability that means that you don't get attacked when you're standing up. That said, all this one does is prevent attacks of opportunity from standing. The other ones have ones like Kip Up, I think, becomes a swift action if you use Panache. Rogue, I think there's 2 of them where one of them doesn't provoke and the other one makes you stand up faster. It may not be in the game. It may just be the Avoid AOO one in this one. But, yeah, okay. So that just makes it so you stand up easier, so you don't have to worry about getting tripped. Ideally, you shouldn't be tripped to begin with, but yeah, what are you going to do? And finally, at the final level of the Swordlord archetype, you get at 10th level, the penalty from Aldori Swordlord's Shatter Confidence increases to -2. The target also loses all insight and competence bonus to these checks. Okay, so that is what again? Saving throw, attack roll. So that actually seems very good, because a lot of bonuses in the game come from spell stacking effects that just give you, like, insight bonuses, or competence bonuses, or luck bonuses, or, you know, just regular enhancement bonuses. But insight bonuses are actually fairly common at the later levels. Like, I think there's a couple in the area I'm in now. So you should be able to actually do that. Like, that would actually be fairly effective, I think, since any insight bonuses at these levels are going to be very high. Competence, not so much, but morale and insight, definitely. So, putting that all together, Aldori Swordlord is a full BAB class that definitely focuses more on dex fighting and defensive fighting, because specifically defensive parry, you get a better bonus, and adaptive tactics reduces the penalty for defensive fighting. So this is a defensive fighting character archetype that you'd want to go with this. The downsides is that it is focused very specifically on the Aldori dueling sword, which, if you're not using that, then you better go with Duelist instead. Let me see, anything else I can pull out of this? Yes, also has the Intimidate things. So, ironically, again, this is a perfect prestige class for the build I was going with my Aeon character, because it's about Intimidate and fighting defensively and using Dex to attack. So this would have... Let's see, if I had done this, I could have probably stripped off, like, 2 levels of Rogue and a couple levels of Duelist, maybe? I don't know. Because I was doing what? I was doing Monk, Duelist, Monk, Rogue, Fighter, Duelist. Those were the 4 classes. So I would probably completely eliminated Duelist from that equation. And then I could most likely drop Rogue levels. Fighter levels would be lowered because this is a easier prestige class to go into, and I didn't need to wait for any of the extra abilities to go in, and then a lot of other stuff would have been triggered off of that. I might have still stayed in Rogue, honestly, just to get improved Uncanny Dodge. Might do that. Alright, anyway, that's Aldori Swordlord. So what's next on the list? I guess Student of War. Which, that's easy enough to get. So I need Dodge, Combat Expertise, and Skill Focus Knowledge. Alright, so let's go with this. Oh, you know why? It trades out bonus feats. That's why. It must trade out bonus feats. Whoop. Okay, and now we want... skill focus. God, I don't remember which one it was. It was skill focus, knowledge, or lore. There we go. So, Student of War, here we go. Student of War. This is one I'm not familiar with as well. Actually, does this one exist? Student of War, Pathfinder. Let's just take a look. Yeah, okay, it does exist in the original game. Kind of expertise, dodge, skill focus, any knowledge. Must be proficient with 2 martial weapons, knowledge. Must have succeeded in knowledge checks against 5 distinct creatures prior to defeating them. Interesting. So additional skills, know your enemies, which is bonuses against enemies. You get defensive stances, mind over metal. Use int in place of dex for determining armor class. Anticipate, blow. Okay, let's go with this one because I think this is. It looks like this is a different one. Not entirely. So additional class skill at first level and every 2 levels after, Student of War gains 1 skill as a class skill. So if you have a high int character, this is actually pretty good, given that it'll let you increase your knowledge bonuses on everything you have. It looks like it's basically... Oh, it looks like it's actually all of them. Know your enemy. As a move action, a Student of War can study a foe and see and attempt a knowledge check again appropriate for the creature's type. So a lot of knowledge planes or knowledge religion in this game. Success grants a +1 insight bonus against the enemy, which can be applied via one of the following stances, chosen when the check is attempted to indicate statistics and rolls. Defensive stance. Bonus applies to armor class, not saving throws against the target's attacks. At 6th level, the student grants a +3 bonus to AC against attacks of opportunity. Martial stance. Bonus applies an attack on damage rolls. Note that it's only a +1, though, which I might get bigger later. Tactical stance. Bonus applies on combat maneuver checks and to CMD. Student of War can change your stance as move action. Bonus increased to +2 at 4th and +3 at 7th. So that is a lot of investment to get a +3 bonus to armor class and saves, or attack and damage, or combat maneuver checks. 7th level can use it as a swift action rather than a move action. Let's see. Yep, know your enemy and stances. Mind over metal. You can use your int modifier in place of dex for determining armor class. The armor's normal maximum dex bonus still applies, limiting how much the character's AC bonus can be used via armor. You get combat feats, which I don't feel like brew potions is a combat feat. It's just a bonus combat feat, though. Anticipate. At 3rd level, a Student of War can withstand even mental and unusual attacks of great will. Successful will saving throw against an attack that normally deals half damage. She instead takes no damage. Alright, so I have a ring for this, but it's basically evasion but for will saves. Great for illusion spells. Additional class skill. Okay, this is just class skills. Critical focus. +3 bonus to critical hit confirmation rolls while in martial stance, which is the attack damage one. As move action, okay, that's just the bonus increasing. Another combat feat. +3 bonus to AC against attack of opportunity while in defensive stance. Telling Blow. At 6th level, Student of War can aim her blows at the weakest point in a studied foe's defense, ignoring up to 5 points of damage reduction. Does not apply to damage reduction without a type. This ability cannot be used against creatures that are immune to critical hits or otherwise last discernible weak points. And that's swift action. The bonus increases to +3 here. Nemesis. At 9th level, once per day as a swift action, a Student of War can focus on a weapon she holds and render it anathema to her studied foe. The weapon gains the Bane special ability for 1 minute. And finally, Deadly Blow. At 10th level, a Student of War can find weak spots where none should exist. A Student of War who uses her Know Your Enemy ability can ignore the target's damage reduction and immunity to critical hits. Okay. So, here's my thinking about this one. I'm also going to see here, like, this is... Okay, so it looks like this is... This punch means you get a bonus to... Okay, the punch means you get a bonus to your base attack bonus at that level. Yes, hi, Aging Evergreen. How are you doing? And yes, this is mostly character study. I didn't have time today to do a full stream, so I'm just sort of dipping back in to do a study on the prestige classes, since that's the part of character generation I kind of skipped over when I did it way at the beginning. And now that I've got the money to do it, I can actually create mercenaries to do so and check out what each one of these does in detail, since I don't actually know much about how the prestige classes work in this game. That's basically what's going on here. So it's going to be like a relatively short, kind of informal, not that it's very formal to begin with, just sort of character generation examination stream. Yeah, okay, so that's... I'm just going through here, like, yeah. Anyway, if that's what you're here for, then stick around and watch me just muck around in character gen for a little bit. But, yeah, okay, so, yeah, it's... So that's what those icons are. It's just full BAB. So this prestige class particularly is full BAB. So skill, combat, dodge. The only real limiter on this one that would prevent a wizard or something from taking it is that it requires a base attack bonus of 5. Which means that if you're not doing a full BAB class, that's going to be maxed out at, 8. You're going to pick it up at 8 or 10. For a full BAB class, I think this would be really good with a... Probably with a Slayer, is my thinking. Slayer or maybe... Slayer or maybe Ranger? I'd say, because you get a favorite class bonus, or favorite enemy bonus on that one. Slayer gets studied target. So you'd be able to stack up 2 different kinds of, like, focus on this enemy type bonuses, which is great for that. The part where you get free Bane... Ooh, maybe. Also, hi, Gozenka. Hello, welcome first time chat. Also, yeah. So that would be something I'd actually have to check on. Sword Saint Magus would be interesting to have the Candy Defense stack on it. Actually, that's true. It might actually stack. Okay, let's test that real quick. Just got to reload to get a new mercenary. Don't worry about it. Can't you open the door near the water elemental? You might need a key for that. That might require a key. Duelist, I'm going to take a wild guess and say probably will not stack with it. Because that's... Yeah, as for the door with the elemental, I don't know offhand. Like, I've always had a... I've always been fine getting in there, but I think it might require some kind of key to open it. Anyway, as for the Duelist, I don't think that one will stack because Duelist and Sword Saint both have the Candy Defense class feature, which means it might count as the same thing. If we're lucky, it might stack, but I don't think it does. So let's go with Magus, Sword Saint, and defense. Duelist, Harry, can't. Oh, there's Cane Defense. Yeah, I think that probably won't. Oh, that's true too. Yeah, so it's not worth it in that case. Anyway, Sword Saint Magus. And I want to go into Student of War, which requires dodge, combat expertise, and that. Now let's go human, just to make it easier for myself. Just take it to 13, that should be good. There we go. Put an int. There we go. Don't really care. Okay, so expertise. Dodge. Whoop. Dog. And I don't really dueling sword. Yeah, let's do it. Wait, no. Where's Gozer? There we go. True neutral. Yeah, well, let's take a look, right? I got my int bonus right now set up, so let's check it out. But back to what I was spitballing. So I would say, apart from the Magus one, which seems like a good dip, yeah, as far as just regular dips go, because you can get the double int with Canyon Defense. What also might be good for that... Okay, so I just need to hit level 5 now. Or level 8, rather. Since it gives you a bonus on crits, or allows you to bypass crit immunity, I'm thinking it might actually be really good with something that uses Vital Strikes, like Rowdy Rogue or Barbarian, or whatever you go for that happens to be good with critting. Especially good for Trickster, actually. Because that allows you to crit on anything, including, let's say, oozes, skeletons. Well, you can crit on skeletons. Oozes, golems, anything that just has stuff like that. Also, being able to bypass DR is pretty decent. Okay, another level. Wait for it. There we go. There we are. So now we can take... Rods get skill focus. Shit. Alright, skill. There. It's fine, don't worry about it. There we go. Now I can take Student of War. Yeah, I mean, well, actually, no. Golems aren't crit immune, are they? Okay, so you get to pick a new class skill here. Student of War. Alright. So now that that's dealt with, let's take a look at her armor class here. She has Dexterity bonus +3, which is actually her int bonus, and Candy defense +3. Hey! It works. So it's, yeah, you can totally do that. Anyway, yeah, going back to the whole thing I was saying again, for a Student of War, I would say probably a good one would be... So I would say Ranger, Slayer. I'd like to see Rowdy Rogue going into this, although that is 8 levels of Rogue that you'd have to stack up for before you hit this point. That said, it isn't like it's a terrible thing. Like, just going Rogue in general would get you all that, and then this gives you full BAB, which lets you stack... Get more damage on there, which lets you get Vital Strikes out. Well, maybe not, actually. I really like to, because Mythic Vital Strike with ability to bypass crit immunity is pretty good. But at the same time, you lose access to the freebie Vital Strike feats from it. It's also a purely martial class. There's no magical abilities in there. So, is that just damage reduction and immunity to critical hits? There's probably a good build for this. Obviously, the 2 level dip for Mind Over Metal is good, but I feel like this is... I don't know, it's... If there was... Okay, so there's a fighter archetype called the Lore Warden, and its big deal is that it's a fighter that actually gets skills, and it can use those skills to, like, do knowledge checks on enemies to get bonuses. That would be perfect to go into Student of War, because they match up perfectly. You can use the Lore Warden stuff to get knowledges, you can use the Lore Warden stuff to get your BAB plus extra feats, and then you can use that to sort of give you more knowledge that stack on with the other stuff, that give you more bonuses, and so on and so forth. Great match. Unfortunately, not in this game. Yeah, I don't know. It's, this is an odd one to build around. Like, specifically building around going to 10 on this. I guess I would still have to say maybe... I'd still, I guess, would still say... Slayer, just because you get to stack on the extra damage from Studied Target, but then you lose out on the bonus damage from Studied Target, as well as lowered sneak attack. Rogue stuff, Ranger might be the best bit. That or Fighter. Being able to get free Bane is neat. I was thinking like, oh man, that'd be cool if you get a... Inquisitor on that, but Inquisitors already get Bane, so it's not... Yeah. Yeah, Arcane Trickster is really strong if you get it to 10. Like, really strong. Just, yeah. Like, this is kind of the problem with a lot of prestige classes in Pathfinder, honestly. There's a lot of interesting stuff in prestige classes that, like, there's a lot of really, really cool, unique stuff in prestige classes. One of my favorites is a prestige class called the Pathfinder Chronicler. It's a weird sort of bard offshoot, which has bardic performance stuff, but also lets you call down ghosts of adventurers to fight people for you. But the main reason I like it is because it has the ability to just draw out random unsorted items from its back pocket and say, I paid for this last time we were in town. I totally have this. It's for real. You can literally just say, oh, it's... If you've ever played in a game... There's always been that one time when you've been tempted to just go, you know, when we were in town, I totally bought a ladder with, you know, like, all my gold. I'll just subtract that 10 gold right now and just add a ladder. It's that as an actual class ability. It's codified in the rules. And then they added feats that let you do that out of that class. But it's still, like, one of the coolest, most unique abilities in the game that I can think of. There is another prestige class, which is... Brother of the Seal, I want to say it's called. And that class is all about bull rushing and using it to basically do awesome blows, where it punches people into other people. It's got an ability called Domino Crash, where you punch somebody so hard it hits another person, they just keep going like dominoes. Yeah, I think it's called Brother of the Seal. Then there's Fist of Aurori. Oh, is Assassin bad? Ah, that's unfortunate. There's like 3 different kinds of assassin. Yeah, there's regular assassin, which is like a rogue prestige class. Then there's Red Mantis Assassin, which is a prestige class specifically using sawtooth sabers because it's all about the Red Mantis assassins that worship Achakek, the Mantis god. And then there's the Guild Poisoner, which is basically an assassin class, which is also one of the strongest classes in the game if you can build for it right. And by build for it right, I mean break poisons to the point of absurdity. Anyway, that's getting off topic. Point is, Student of War has a lot of really neat stuff in it, but unless you have a specific idea you're going into with it, it's really not worth going too far into it. Which is unfortunate, because, like I said, it's got cool stuff in it. It's just most people are going to stop at 2. My main character is a just straight alchemist right now, vivisectionist, lich. So I'm going for the big tough buff route on that one. I've considered reformatting him a couple times, but he's doing all right. He's doing it. And I get to have a flanking buddy made out of a skeleton that I raised from the dead, and other skeletons. So hey, that works. Also, when he actually does hit, he shits out damage, so that's a plus. Anyway, what's next on the list of prestige classes? I guess Duelist would be it. I just need weapon finesse and combat mobility. Can I get that? Yes. Yeah, if I actually take 2 more levels of this, that'll get me it. Ooh, hard solo with a ranged rowdy one. Which one, Vivid? That's a good combo, so I'm guessing you got the Vital Strike off, plus the extra bonus dice, plus a couple hexes, or maybe a hex or 2 on there, plus just the regular stuff from Vivisectionist, plus self-buffing. Yeah. Alchemist is one of my favorite classes. It's an incredible class. It is by far one of my favorite classes in the game. I'm pretty sure it's one of the best classes in general. Not necessarily power-wise, just like in design-wise. Alright, yeah, you know what? Let's take another 2 levels of Student of War. Excellent, I get a feat at this level. So I need weapon, finesse, and what's else? Combat mobility. Alright, now I can get a Duelist. Alright, so looking into Duelist here. Duelist is a prestige class I'm somewhat familiar with. So the main 2 things that you get out of it are you get Canny Defense, which is much like the Sword Saint ability. It lets you add your intelligence modifier to your AC as a dodge bonus, which means it stacks with other bonuses, generally speaking. I don't... Actually, you know what? Okay, hold on a second. Let's see something here. Well, let's just see something here. Class is... I'm getting a +3 bonus for Canny Defense right now. So let's see what happens if I take a level of Duelist. Let's see if it does actually stack, if it counts as a second dodge bonus, or if it doesn't work. It actually works. It actually does stack as a second candy defense source. That's really funny, actually. So you could totally do that. If you wanted, you could totally try stacking a bunch of candy defenses from Sword Saint and Duelist. That might be viable with a legend character, actually. Just slap your int all the way up. Play 992 with 28 int. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If you go legend, you could totally just, like, go Sword Saint all the way up to, I don't know, 10. Yeah, you're not going to have more than plus 10 modifier, most likely. So go up to 10 with Sword Saint, let's say. Take Duelist all the way up to 10. Take Student of War up to 2. And then, actually, you could take Alchemist and get Cognitogens to boost your int even higher. And then you could use that one int-based pickaxe to fight. That could totally work. That could actually totally work. It'd be stupid, but it totally works. And you'd be dead until you hit legend, but hey, whatever. That's what the party's for. They're there to carry your ass. Anyway, yes, going back to Duelist. So, you got Candy Defense, which is int to AC based on level. It's the main thing that gates you from being able to, like, generally take Duelist and Sword Saint as a dip, because it's only effective if you take a couple levels of it, since you're going to get, what, a single point? You might as well have taken a level in another class at that point. And Precise Strike. So, for Duelist, what this does is it adds basically a pseudo sneak attack bonus to your weapon attacks. It's not really a sneak attack. It's sort of... It functions in basically the same places as a normal sneak attack does, but it's just a flat bonus. If the Swashbuckler, which is not in this game, is basically like a mini Duelist, or a better Duelist, given that it's base class instead of prestige class, has the same feature. For next up, we got Parry. This is an ability that is actually not very good in this game, unless you're a legend. Because if you're a legend, then you can actually get a high enough BAB to block things. So, what this does is, if an attack is incoming, you can make an attack to counter it in order to block it. Just, you know, as you would figure. You actually attack the attack coming in. If you win, you block it. If you don't, it doesn't work. Or, parry and attack. In addition, there's penalties based on the size of the thing. Yeah, what are you going to do? It's only one per turn, because imagine if you actually did play a legend and you had max BAB, you could just not get hit ever just by doing this. Oh, one thing I should note about Duelist as well is that all of its class features only function, well, the offensive ones, and parry. All of its class features only function if you're using a one-handed piercing weapon, which is basically a rapier. That's it. So it's a limiting factor there. There are feats that can expand that. For example, the feat Aldori Dueling Mastery lets you use an Aldori Dueling Sword for the class features of a Duelist. That said, it's probably better just to use the rapiers anyway, unless you're doing a specific weird Aldori Dueling Sword thing like I was doing last time. Generally speaking, you're going to be better off just going for a rapier anyway, because they're not bad weapons, and there's actually quite a few of them in this game. What do you also have here? Improved reaction, so you get to ask first, stab people on the way through. This is a good class feature if you want to act first and attack things that are flat-footed. Ah, hello, Starlord Gamer. And yes, currently live. I am just going through these prestige classes because I don't have time to do a full stream, so instead I'm just doing this. Yes, hello, welcome to the stream. Oh, yeah, okay, that's fair. That's just how I talk. What was it? I was in a Discord call the other day, and I made a joke about, like, shilling various, sponsorship items, like, did you know that people are watching your every move when you go online? Netflix included. That's how they prevent you from watching shows you would like to watch in other countries. So, in order to solve that, you should sign up for ExpressVPN at expressvpn.thisisnactuallyanadsspot.com. And they were commenting like, fuck, I thought that was an ad read. Anyway, is there a feat that changes slashing weapons to be able to do piercing attack? Sort of. There is a feat in normal Pathfinder called Martial Versatility. And what that does is it actually does allow you to change your weapon damage type to another weapon damage type. I want to say it's fighter exclusive, but don't quote me on that. And it's basically just like, you take your sword, and then instead of doing slashing damage, you do piercing damage by only stabbing, or you hit with hilt to do bludgeoning damage. That's basically all it is. It's basically just designed to get around the problem of skeletons can only be hit by bludgeoning. Zombies are resistant to bludgeoning. Blah, blah, blah. What do I do? In this game, I don't think there's a feat that actually lets you do that. But I could check. I'm 90% sure it's not in this game, though. That said, if there was something like that in this game, yes, 100% totally would work, because all it requires is that you're doing this damage with a one-handed or light piercing weapon. Not slashing, not bludgeoning, piercing. However, if you are able to do piercing damage with a weapon, it will work. For example, I think swords or daggers do naturally have the ability to do either slashing or piercing damage, depending on their type, so you should be able to work with a dagger. Again, I don't know off the top of my head, and this game might also have things set up differently, just because it's, you know how. What does a improved critical improved feat do? What that one does is it improves your critical modifier by 1. Can't get me with that one, I've already seen that feat. Also, I think if I go to Student of War, I can actually take a look. I go to... Which one is it? Is it this one? No, it's this one. Okay, if I go to this one, I can actually scroll all the way down here. When using a weapon you selected, your critical multiplier is increased by 1. Got him. Called it. You can't fool me. I know this one. I know this one off the top of my head. That's the only one, though. That's the only one I remember. I think this one is crit modifier, and this one's crit range. Threat range increased by 1... range increased by 1 again. Okay, so they're both crit range, and then this one is a critical modifier improvement. And improved critical is just crit range. Yeah, exactly. That would have gotten me. It's true. You cannot fool me. Oh no, I've learned everything, but not from books. Alright, so where was I going with this? Ah, yes, right. Improved reaction gives you a bonus on initiative checks if you want to attack things that are flat-footed at the start of combat, or if you want to just charge things. Actually, thinking about that might be good with the demon mythic path, since it does get the demon charge thing that lets you, like, dimension door at stuff, or the mythic charge ability. So you can just open up, charge directly at a target, stab him down with big damage, especially if you're a rogue. It's not as useful in this game, though, because there's a bunch of stuff... Well, I mean, it's generally speaking useful, because you'd still be attacking against flat-footed AC, but... Like, there's a bunch of weird stuff you can do in regular Pathfinder. I do use mercenaries on occasion, but just today I'm just using it for testing, because it's easier than trying to finagle someone's build to make a real character out of it. So I can just, like, pay, like, you know, whatever it is to get a new character in there and just go, okay, you're going to be the duelist one, and then that solves it. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any mods installed. What I really need to do is I need to install the, I need to install, Box Toys at some point in the near future. Yeah, that's fair. Like I said, though, this is just for today. Like, this character's not going to exist in a couple hours. Oh, I know it's easy. I know it's easy, it's just I haven't gotten around to reinstalling it. Oh, you know why I called it that? I called it that because I was thinking, like, okay, it's Bag of Tricks, so it's Box of Toys. But it's not toy... I didn't remember it's Toy Box. It's fine, don't worry about it. What do I think? So, going first initiative... You know what I'd actually really like in this game? I would really love the spring attack feats. Because that would actually let you use improved initiative and improved reaction much better. Because that would let you move, you know, a fair distance into the combat zone, tag someone, and then move out. It's also better if you have the spring healed feats, which don't exist in this game. But spring attack would be nice. Generally speaking, this is probably just like a little extra cherry on the prestige class. It's not particularly useful, but on occasion it'll be nice if you just want to, like, try and alpha strike somebody before they kill you. Enhanced mobility. When using no armor, you get an additional +4 AC against attacks of opportunity. Fencing Grace is basically the same thing as precise. No, it's not. Wait, isn't? I thought Duelist got that, didn't they? Back movement, lower defense. No. Huh. Okay. Fencing Grace is basically a feat that lets you, with a rapier... I don't remember if it's rapier specific. I think it is. Yeah, exactly. It gives you dex to damage with fencing weapons, so like a rapier, or I think maybe other one-handed piercing weapons. It's a feat that is excellent with Duelist. Actually, I do think it is in this game. It's excellent if you pair it with Duelist, since this basically matches up, and Duelist doesn't give it to you normally. I want to say Swashbuckler also gets it for free, but again, Swashbuckler's not in this game. There's a couple other Grace feats as well. There's Slashing Grace, which I believe is Scimitar specific, and then there's Star Grace, which is specific for Star Knives, because there's a Desna thing. Yeah, if... Command going Duelist and Aldori Prestige and Vital Striking people into Oblivion. Yeah, that's that's another thing I wanted to check out. I couldn't remember if Camellia was able to go into Duelist easily. Actually, let's take a look. Well, no, I can't check anymore. Because I wanted to check at one point. I think I was doing some kind of Vital Strike debuff. Yeah, I was doing like a weird Vital Strike buff debuff thing with her, because she would use her chants before heading into melee combat, and then just chant, or she would use her hexes, then chant as a move action, which left her open to Vital Strike things. That's the idea I was going with, but I also haven't used her in like 2 acts or something, so... Oh yeah, no, Mythic Vital Strike has always been busted. Like, that's never been a question. Yeah, it's... So here's the thing about the Mythic. In this game, Mythic is kind of nutso, and it enables a whole bunch of dumb stuff. In the tabletop version, Mythic is way more busted. Like, incredibly busted. I'm not even talking about, like, the Mythic versions of feats. Those are really strong, too. I mean just, like, the basic stuff. There's a Mythic ability that lets you become a pseudo-deity, and you can just give spells to people. Just just... It's called a Mythic Font, I think. Or Divine Font. You just become a pseudo-deity and you can give people spells. That's it. Yeah, there's that too, but you have to keep in mind also, a lot of it is just in the rules. It says you can do this. Mythic Eagle Eye allows you to see at any distance. No perception check. Just, if you want to, you can see it. If you have a straight line of sight, you can see it. Doesn't matter where or what, you can see it. My favorite mythic ability is still 7 League Leap. Yeah, exactly. I mentioned this before, but I had a character statted out who would never see use in a real game because he's too dumb. But he's called Captain Carrying Capacity. And what he was is he was a character built around maximizing the carrying capacity stat. Just buff up strength, then use stuff like Ant Hull, Muleback Cords, the traits for Muscle of the Society, increase everything that would increase his carrying capacity as much as possible. Yeah, no, it was OP. So here's what happened. By the end of it, after doing all the math, after doing all the multiplications and saying like, okay, so with this many arms, with this form, doing this, he can lift every living thing on the planet simultaneously. So I wasn't able to hit the point of lifting continents, but I was about an order of magnitude below that. So in any hypothetical game that he could exist in, he would be able to lift an entire dungeon out of the ground, shake it like a maraca, and kill everything inside. There's also... He was also strong enough to be able to hurl asteroids. And because of the way... Okay, so he had Eagle Eye, Mythic Eagle Eye, which meant he had unlimited range. He also had limitless range as an ability, which allows you to attack at any range without any kind of range penalty. Which meant that he was able to chuck asteroids as a ranged projectile at whatever he wanted. Now, given that combat rounds in Pathfinder resolve in 6 seconds, that meant that any asteroid he chucked at anything was moving at several multiples of the speed of light. So he could wipe out planets. And if he wanted to, he could also chuck the asteroid and then get on the asteroid to travel around at super light speed. And wipe out planets. Pathfinder's dumb. Yeah, granted, again, this is a character who would never, ever see full play, because that was, like, level 20, Mythic 10, but still. I would say that sounds goofy, but that actually sounds like something perfectly reasonable for One Piece. There's a lot of dumb stuff in One Piece. I stopped reading... What did I stop reading? Dressrosa? I don't remember what point that was. I remember that Sanji and someone else fell into some kind of weird factory with gnomes, and that's about where I fell off because the chapters were updating too slowly and I kept losing track of what was going on. That thing reads much better when you can read it in like 30 chapters at a time. I gotta get back to it at some point. Yeah. Look, I just kind of lost the thread of what was happening because if you read on a weekly basis, you just kind of go like, okay, we're jumping from here to here to here. What happened a month ago? I don't remember. It was a month ago. Just because there's a lot of stuff going on at any given time. But yeah, it's Pathfinder's very dumb. Pathfinder's very dumb. I could also bring up the time that I gotcha. Yeah, exactly. I gotta get back on the horse at some point. Yeah, I'll bring it up when I get to the assassin, I think. But I'll remind me in a couple minutes to talk about the alchemist, the poison man, because that's also another example of Pathfinder being very dumb. I gotta finish this duelist, though. Okay, so anyway, enhanced mobility is basically mobility feat that also gets you... It stacks with mobility. You get more AC when you're doing attacks of opportunity. Oh, really? Man. Well, I'll have to see what it does. Brace. Bonus on reflex saving throws. Also, you get combat reflexes for free. That's it. You just get the bonus feat. If for some reason you waited until like level 10 or so to get combat reflexes, you get it for free. Riposte. So this is a fun one. If for some reason you're able to actually properly use this parry to parry an attack coming in, you get to make an attack against them. That's it. It's not that good because it never triggers in this game, but hey, it's there. Acrobatic movement. Duelist movement speed is no longer reduced on difficult terrain. So, just if you happen to have difficult terrain going on, which is actually quite uncommon. The only difficult terrain I think I've encountered has been difficult terrain I've put down from a spell. But it's there. Elaborate defense. If a duelist chooses to fight defensively in melee combat, she gains an additional +1 dodge bonus to AC for every 3 levels of duelist she has attained. That's up to +3 extra. Oh yeah, also that's true, yeah. Because there was that... I think those boots show up in your box at the very start. Or a spell. Or just ranged weapons. Like, that... Honestly, this is not a very good ability. It's better in the tabletop game. It's not so great here. This, on the other hand, is decent, but again, that only functions when you're doing it fighting defensively. So you're only going to get a +3 bonus max out of this, and you're doing so at a point when you're lowering your AC to get an extra +2. Fighting defensively is better with Aldori Swordlord. This is appreciated if you happen to be doing it, but it's not great. You're better off using the Steel Net ability that the Aldori Swordlord has to get the higher AC. Improved reactions, more initiative. Deflect arrows. Also, you get deflect arrows for free if you have it. Also only functions when using a light or one-handed piercing weapon. No retreat. 9th level, enemies adjacent to the duelist that take a withdraw action provoke an attack of opportunity from the duelist. There's no withdraw action in this game. You can 5-foot... Actually, is there? No, there isn't. I don't think I've seen a withdraw action. I actually don't know if withdraw actions are in this game. Yeah, so this is literally a useless ability. And finally, we have Crippling Critical. When you confirm a critical hit using a light or one-handed piercing weapon, you can apply one of the following penalties in addition to the damage dealt. Reduce the target's movement speed by half, 1d4 points of strength or dexterity damage, -4 penalty on all saving throws, -4 penalty to armor class, or 2d6 points of bleed damage. These penalties last for 1 minute except for ability damage, which must be healed normally, and bleed damage, which continues until the target receives magical healing or leaves combat. So, on the one hand, this is not terrible, because you are going to be using probably something with a decent crit range, like a rapier or, you know, something of that nature. That said, if you're doing this and you're getting to level 10 on this class, you're probably better off just taking the improved critical feats, really. Just get bleeding critical or crippling critical or something like that. So it's... Like, honestly, this is not worth going into it. If you had a +10 int modifier, and you needed to get all the way up here to get a +10 int modifier, sure. But in this case, not really worth it. Like, again, this is a very specific kind of thing that you don't necessarily need to go all the way up here for. Like, if you had an idea that you needed to do this for, great. But generally speaking, this is not the kind of class you'd need to go into. You'd go into it for, like, maybe Precise Strike or something. Yeah, well, Winter Witch exists specifically because of the Reign of Winter adventure path. That's literally the only reason it exists. It exists to be a prestige class that Elvana and her cohort of Winter Witches use to control Irisin, the frozen land of the north ruled by Baba Yaga. That's literally why it exists. Winter Witch in this game, though, is totally useless. But yeah, so, basic thought on Duelist. Has some stuff going for it in terms of defensive features, like candy defense, and, that's really about it, honestly. Most of the stuff is not great. You'd really go in it just for candy defense to get, like, your in modifier worth of levels, and then maybe a couple other things. Like, if you happen to have a +3 or 4 modifier, you get, like, combat reflex. But no, it's not a very good prestige class, all things considered. I only used it that one time because I did stack int bonuses, so I actually did have to go a couple levels deep to get my full int bonus out of it, but I would not take this prestige class normally. What would I use it for, though? If you're going for something crit heavy with a rapier, then it's decent, because you can use Fencing Grace, stack on the dex bonus there, get your int added to your dex bonus for AC, crit focus on that thing in order to get the extra critical effects, and this would stack with critical feats, so you could actually get 2 effects stack off simultaneously. But it's still a lot of investment to go into, and I don't think it's worth it, generally speaking. Anyway, what's next on the list? Mystic Theurge, huh? That's gonna be a pain. Alright, Mystic Theurge is an odd egg. Let's see how it works in this game, because I know in regular Pathfinder, it's a very odd prestige class that really doesn't pay dividends until you hit level 10. And even then, it's kind of a questionable, like, okay, is it worth it, or is it not worth it? Okay, we're gonna go with a cleric on this one. That'll do. Yeah, well, I actually can see a reason to take it as the main character in this game specifically, because if you go for either a Lich or a Angel, you do get to add your spellbook to it, so your, you know, whatever your base class is gets to get elevated by it, but it's still a weird one to go for. And let's just get alertness. Ah, yes. The cleric. I really wish she got stuffed into my inventory, though. It would save a little bit of time on this travel. So, I don't know why the mercenary gets shunted back off to the Nexus instead of getting added to your party if it's empty. It's kind of odd. And a little annoying. At least when I was doing it in Dresden, I didn't have to worry about this because Dresden was in the town, so it was just going to show up, you know, in here anyway. Alright, so Mystic Theurge requires... also, what does this need? Arcane Armor Training, Warrior Priest, any lawful. Well, that's unfortunate. Knowledge, Arcana, Lore, Religion, that's it. Okay, so I need to hit Wizard now. Oh my god, I got so many spells to pick. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so now that I've taken my levels of wizard, there we go. So, the earliest you can take this is really level 7. There are people who have different sort of secret backdoors, which has been eroded out of the game, such as taking 3 levels of cleric and then taking a level of playing an Aasimar. Wait, no, what was it? It was... I think it was you take 3 levels of wizard and he plays an Aasimar, which allows you to cast a 2nd level divine spell as a spell-like ability. Or Tiefling, which lets you cast 2nd level arcane spell. One of those things. Either way, it doesn't work anymore, so you have to take the class. So you get to take that, and you get to go into Mystic Theurge. So Mystic Theurge is a supercaster class, and by that I mean it is just a caster class. It is all about the casting. Mystic Theurge, you get arcane spellcasting. You get to select one of your arcane spellcasting classes you were in before you joined the prestige class, and you get to select one of your divine spellcasting classes that you were in before the prestige class. And it just keeps upgrading your spells as you go. It's as if you kept taking levels in both of your classes before you joined the prestige class. So if you want to have a supercaster, that's how you do it. You get to become a caster that can cast 8th level spells of both types. Except that you're also capped at 8th level spells, because you spent 3 levels in the other class, which meant that, you lost out 3 levels, which means you don't get to go into 9th level spells, which is where the real meat shit is. Also, how'd you almost die? Effective cast level 74. Yeah, well, so here's the deal, right? Because of how the Mythic Spellbook stuff works with Lich and Angel, you get to add your caster level in, that one, into this. And that lets you upgrade one of those levels beyond what it normally would be. So you actually do get to improve yourself beyond what the point would normally cap you at, which makes this much more powerful. You're still going to be at a lower level than you would be if you had just gone for one of those, strictly speaking, but you do get the entire other half of the caster level to go with you. Also, hello 3D Gaming. How are you doing today, besides almost dying? Alright, so combined spells, first level. Mystic Theurge can prepare and cast spells from one of his spellcasting classes using the available slots from any of his other spellcasting classes. Spells prepared or cast in this way take up a slot 1 level higher than the originally occupied. This ability cannot be used to cast a spell at a lower level if that spell exists on both spell lists. At first level, a Mystic Theurge can prepare first level spells from one of his spellcasting classes using the 2nd level slots of the other spellcasting class. Every 2 levels thereafter, the level of spells that can be cast in this way increases by 1 to a maximum of 5th level spells at 9th level. These spells would take up 6th level slots. The components of the spells do not change, but they otherwise follow the rules for the spellcasting class used to cast the spell. Oh, that's what you meant. You cast a cleric spell with your wizard spell book. Does it use Int for DC or your wizard CL? So, I don't know. Let's see here. Now, let's take a level of Mystic Theurge real quick. Actually, real quick, before I do that, what do I need to go into for Eldright Knight? Martial weapon proficiency. Oh, that's easy enough to get. Actually, I don't know if you read. Yeah. There we go. So, choose my spellbook. Cleric. Choose my spellbook. Wizard. And I got spells, as if I'd leveled up in my wizard class. Because clerics just get spells normally. Take another level of this. Alright. So, going on with my class here, let's take a look at the spellbook. So, that's the final boss, killed her before she got to her first turn. Man, okay, so there's a spell, or there's a Pathfinder adventure. I don't remember which one it is. It's one where you go fight the Rune Lord of Sloth. And the problem with that campaign is that when he comes out, like, he's in a coffin, and then he has to spend a turn getting out of the coffin and then buffing up before he actually fights you. Everyone just kills him while he's in the coffin, because he can't act in response to what's going on, because they all have to be sort of run as a video game sort of set of actions. So they have to do round 1, get out of the coffin, buff. Round 2, cast this. Round 3, cast that. Ooh, nice. Must have been satisfying for you, but infuriating for the DM. Anyway, sounds like you had fun at your little camp. Alright, so, just taking a look at this thing here, right? Let's start at 0. I'm looking at my cleric spell list right now. Or rather, my cleric book. But clearly... Okay, hold on a second, what? Okay, right, this is this. So this is my cleric book. This is my wizard book. So wizard has Burning Hands. If I go to my second level slot here, I can put Burning Hands in as a spell right there. Everyone rolled nat 20s? Oh god, that DM must have been really upset. Okay, difficulty class 16. Ooh, actually, I can't tell, can I? Because my int and my wisdom are different. So, if I give you a headband of wisdom, next to +7 bonus, spell book, 19. Whereas here, it's a 15. So, the way this works... Yeah, this should be a 16 because it's prepared 1 level up. But this is actually being used off of my Wiz modifier. So this is actually... Yeah, so it's actually running off of whatever book it's written into. If I prepared... I don't know, what's got something here? Haze of Dreams. No, wait, that's not a... It's first level cleric spell. Inflict Light Wounds. Let's go with that one. If I prepared Inflict Light Wounds here, it has a 16 DC. Whereas if I go to my cleric over here, it has a 18 DC. So it is being set up off that. Oh, right, okay. Cleric buff. So what would be working? Shield of Faith, I guess? So Wizard, Shield of Faith. Minute per level. So let's take a quick nap. Oh yeah, that's true. So, well, I mean, they're going to be equal, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, my guess is that it probably is going to function based off whatever book it's counting as. So it basically is going to treat this. Yeah, well, like I said, I had a lot of stuff to take care of today, and I was basically able to do this only after I finished eating dinner. So I decided, you know what, I'll just go through here and take a look at prestige classes, since that's something I've been meaning to do. Also, to the guy who said it would take like 10 minutes, ha ha ha, look at this. It's an hour and a half in and I've gone through like 4. Okay, interesting. So, Mystic Theurge is actually Took you 2 days to respec from 113? Jesus. Anyway, so going back, I'm going to just take a wild guess that the CL is probably just based on whatever book it's written into. So because both of my caster levels are equal right now, it's going to be the same. But if I took more levels in Wizard, it would probably boost that one's caster level up, and, you know, vice versa for Cleric. But one thing that is interesting here is that this is a much weaker version of Mystic Theurge that I'm familiar with. This one only lets you go up to 6th level spells. So if you're playing, okay, also is this it's a half BAB. So this is Wizard sort of BAB progression. So if you Yeah, exactly. So it's basically just a... Yeah. Also, hello around here. How are you doing? Spell boobs. Yeah, this is basically what it does. Like, I guess what you could do then is... Given that it's only 6th level spells, you could cap yourself at a 16... What you could do is, like, if you want to be a cleric that has a lot of extra cleric spells hanging around for lower level spells, you could cap yourself at a 16 wizard intelligence. Like, 16 intelligence. Yeah, I can see that. But, let me think. What I'm thinking here is you could probably cap this at 6... Cap yourself at... Let's say you want to take Cleric all the way up. Well, you know, however much. And then you want to set Wizard as your secondary. What you could do is you could have Wizard cap... You could cap your int at 16, so you don't get higher than 6th level spells for Wizard anyway. And then you just shunt all the stuff that doesn't have saves or durations or anything like that into the Wizard spell book. So that frees up all the other space. Like if you want to do Shield of Faith, for example. Any kind of low-tier buff spell. Anytime low-tier buff spell, anything that you don't need caster level or anything like that on, you could shunt all that into the Wizard spell book, so you have all that prepared, and then have the Cleric spell books saved for things that have DCs or have actual caster level requirements tied to them. So it basically just gives you an extra stock of, like, you know, a dozen spells or whatever. This is very different from the Mystic Theurge and the regular tabletop book. Yeah, exactly. Same sort of thing. That said, I think you are still going to be capped in the cleric stuff because you do require a little bit of stuff. Also, you do still need to take 3 levels of the cleric at least in order to hit 2nd level spells. Yeah, exactly. You need 3 levels of Cleric to get Theurge. So you need at least a +2 in Wisdom. Meta Magic. How are those spells effective if you get those in the first place? It would probably just increase the level of, you know, wherever you place it. So if you add a Meta Magic to a Cleric spell written in the Wizard book, it basically just adds these spells to the other spell list at a higher level. Now, one thing I am curious about is... I don't know how this works, but there's the perfectly ordinary spell Meta Magic. And then there's favorite Meta Magic, which lowers the spell level by 1. So can you use that on perfectly normal spell to reduce the spell level of one of these spells to drop it down? So you'd be able to cast your cleric spells, which would normally be 2nd level, cast them at a lower level. Yeah, well, you have free empowered spells, but you don't need to do perfectly normal spell to do that. You can just apply it directly to the spell to empower. No? Also, hello, Woolhide. Welcome to the stream. First-time streamer. Or first-time chat viewer. Normal spell, then use empower. Empower. Does Empower... How much does Empower bump it up by 1? I mean, it won't, because Theurge is still... Perfectly no reduced level by 1. Okay. Oh! Oh, I'm on Lich Path, personally. I'm just looking at prestige classes, which is why I'm stuck in this character selection screen, or character creation screen. This isn't going to be like a full stream. This is just going to be like... I say that, but I'm already an hour and a half in. It's going to be just me looking at all the prestige classes. Earthly Norm reduced the level by 1. Okay. Oh, okay. I see what you do now. I see. Right, okay. I haven't looked at Perfectly Normal. I think I just, like, grazed by it once, so I don't really know what it does. Anyway, so for this one... I really don't think this is worth taking, generally speaking. It's basically only useful for the case where you do want to just have a bunch of extra spells added to your spell list. If you want to have... okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, yeah. You could also do that with Lich too, but it would definitely be best with one of those two paths if you just want to have a bunch of extra spells added to your spell list. Like, that's really all it is. It's not a great prestige class other than that. And I don't think that'll make level 6 spells usable for Theurge. It won't, because this still caps it at 5th level spells. No, Lich boosts your wizard level, though. Yes. Vivisectionist could take Mystic Theurge. It would take a while, though. Because, you need to hit... level, what, 5? Before you hit 2nd level spells? So it would, you need to be level 9 before you can even start taking Theurge. And then also, you'd lose out on Alchemist Discoveries and Sneak Attack, so it's not worth it. And BAB, actually. Since Theurge is a half BAB class, you'd actually be weaker in melee combat, so Vivisectionist would not like this at all. Regular Alchemist, maybe. But not Vivisectionist. Especially not Vivisectionist. Anyway, yeah. So let me just check something real quick. I'm just gonna go back to the regular Mythic Theurge. Mystic Theurge of Tirnanog. So Mystic Theurge normally has an ability called Spell Synthesis at 10th level, which is missing here. Yeah, exactly. If you're mid on Wizard and max on Cleric, Angel's more powerful, but if you're max on Wizard and min on Cleric, Lich is more powerful. You know, it goes both ways. Actually, let me see. Combined Spell... Okay, so Combined Spells does function the exact same way it does here. Also has a note here about Spontaneous Spells. And... so the one thing that's missing is at 10th level, a normal Mystic Theurge in Pathfinder gets an ability called Spell Synthesis. At 10th level, a Mystic Theurge can cast 2 spells, one from each of his spellcasting classes, using 1 action. Both of the spells must have the same casting time. The Mystic Theurge can make any decisions concerning the spells independently. Any target affected by both the spells takes a -2 penalty on saves made against each spell. The Mystic Theurge receives a +2 bonus on caster level checks made to overcome spell resistance with these 2 spells, and can only use this ability once per day. That's probably why they didn't add it. That said, it would still be a cool ability to be able to do that, but it's not in here, unfortunately. Yeah, it's low on the list, and it's once per day, which I guess is just like... yeah, it's very strange. I'm going to guess that they just didn't want to add it in because it's a once per day thing and nobody would probably use it. It is still very strange that it's empty, since this is a very lackluster prestige class, generally speaking. It's basically only good if you want to have a ton of spells, which if there's that mythic ability that also gives you extra spells at 3rd level, or 1 to 3 and then 4 to 6. So that, again, yeah, that's true. But especially in this case, this one's very lackluster. Yeah, exactly. That's one thing. You just use the spells to just spam spells that don't really require things, and you just go with that. This would probably be great with bolstered magic missiles, honestly. Right, yeah. Anyway, that's Mystic Theurge. Basically only take it if you're doing some kind of weird build, or if you want to specifically be an Angel Highcaster or a Wizard Highcaster, or Lich Highcaster, just for the extra spell slots, because it's not great otherwise. And it's not worth going into as anything besides, like, a Wizard or a Cleric or something on that level, because it's going to take too long to get into the Prestige class in general. And then you get lowered spell use out of it. It's just not great in general. But let's go on to another kind of lame prestige class, the Eldritch Knight. Prestige, Hellknight, Hellknight Signifier, Arcane Trickster, Duelist, and one for guard stance. You mean Student of War? Okay, so again, most of them have a use, but they're kind of lackluster, it feels like a lot of the time. Oh, the other one? Which one's the other one? Oh, is it a Stalwart Defender? I don't remember what that one does. Alright, so Eldritch Knight. Eldritch Knight is traditionally, it's a class that you go into if you're a wizard and then a fighter. Because you get wizard for 3rd level arcane spells, and then martial weapon proficiency is just fighter levels. You don't want to do it as barbarian because barbarians can't cast spells while raging. So fighter is usually the smart pick here, but you could also do it with something like a paladin or a ranger or something like that. So Eldritch Knight, arcane spellcasting. You get to choose an arcane spellcasting class. Also, you get bonus feats at a lower rate than a fighter, but you do get bonus feats. You get diverse training. You can add levels to any level of fighter you might... Yeah, this is why it's fighter, specifically. Eldritch Knight adds his level to any levels of fighter he might have for the purpose of meeting the prerequisites of feats, and also adds his level to any levels in arcane spellcasting class for the purposes of meeting feats. You get bonus combat feat, and then at level 10, you get spell critical. At 10th level, whenever an Eldritch Knight successfully confirms a critical hit, the next spell he casts within 2 rounds will be cast as a swift action, as if quickened. Yeah, I could see that, because if you just get crit, you just get to go crit, and then bam, crit bam. It'd be super cool. It's like, it's kind of like Spellcom with a Magus, but a little bit more pizzazz to it. So... yeah, it's true. It is full BAB. You get bonus at every level. You get full caster level. The only downside is that going into it, you have to be at least a 5th level wizard. So you have a lower BAB up to that point, and then you take the fighter and then go into it from there. So, another point here. I used to think this was true, but I learned later on it was not. Eldritch Knight does not get arcane armor training, which is very unfortunate. So, you can play a heavy armored wizard. Let me just do this real quick. You can theoretically play a heavy armor wizard, but it's a little finicky. What you need to do is you need to grab the arcane armor training feats. So let's go armor. So arcane armor training, you've learned how to cast spells while wearing armor. Reduce the arcane spell failure chance due to the armor you're wearing by 10% for any spells you cast, and reduce it by 20%. This bonus replaces and does not stack with the bonus granted by arcane armor training. Yeah, that's true, since you can just go with the Archmage armor and just bump your AC up using Mage armor. So that does take away some of the sting with that. Oh, also, that's true, yeah, Armiger or Hellknight. But yeah, basically it's a very minimal prestige class, and it's just like, do you want to be wizard but also with sword? Or falchion? Or, you know, whatever. If so, then you pick Eldritch Knight, because it gives you the ability to go 10 levels. You get all your casting throughout the entire time. You get full BAB throughout the entire time, so you're actually pretty decent at fighting. I want to say it also has a decent... it also has a decent hit die, right? It doesn't say here. Oh, +6 per level. So you get, like, fairly decent, you know? Yeah, it's true. I mean, the only thing you get past level 10 in most caster classes is higher level spells, so whatever. Ah, yeah, that's a good point. So the only reason why you wouldn't want to go mages, I guess, is because of this ability, which lets you act as if you're a fighter for certain feats. But in this game, a lot of the feats that are fighter-specific are no longer fighter-specific, like greater weapon specialization. So there's not really a reason to do this at all. You could just go with whatever you have that happens to give you martial weapon proficiency. Like, a mage could go straight into this alone, honestly. As long as you get the weapon proficiency. I actually don't think there's any feats that have fighter requirements. Yeah, I don't think there's any feat. Like... Okay, no. Like, Okay, that one actually does need it. Those two do need weapon specialization, but if you're not going for that, then whatever. Well, you know, it's whatever. That said, it is also the best option you have for going into like a heavy armor magus, which is not actually true because there's the other one. Oh, advanced fighter training too. That's... Well, you don't get weapon training as a feat though. Because that's a fighter class feature. So you wouldn't actually get access to that by going into Eldright Knight at all. It wouldn't help you. So if you want the class features for going as a fighter, then you stick with fighter. Otherwise, you go with Eldright Knight. Yeah, the only downside is it has basically no class features. So if you need the class features for what you're doing, then don't go into it. Let's see, advanced weapon training. Duelist isn't bad. Well, no, Duelist is actually not that great at all. It's good for specific dips. It has a lot of things that don't work well outside of like very specific niche builds. Anyway, that's Eldritch Knight, basically. Just diverse training is basically a non-feature in this game, unless you specifically want weapon specialization and all that stuff. So go with whatever feels best for you, really. This is a holdover from 3.5, so it doesn't know how to deal with mages. Mages didn't exist in 3.5. It's confused. Yeah, you know what? I'm coming back around in Eldritch Knight. I'm coming back around on it. I still like the fantasy of having the heavy armor mage, but that's going to be only doable with arcane armor training anyway, which I really wish it gave you, but you could also grab with the arcane armor training and then just use archmage armor, whichever works. Alright, what's next on the list? Next on the list is Hellknight Signifier, so I gotta make a lawful neutral character. Yeah, there's a lot more options in the regular pen and paper game. A lot more options. A lot more options. You can make a character work in the pen and paper game that should not work in any situation, but you can just do it. You can make a character that... You can make Captain America, who has a shield that he just chucks and hits 5 people with in a single throw and then comes back to him. That's a feat chain. That's the Comet's stroke feat chain. Or, what was it? Comet's tail? Comet style? Something like that. Yeah, Hellknight's cool. Although it is a... Honestly, the only reason I like Hellknight is Regil is cool. Regil's the best character in this game. Anyway, Hellknight Signifier is lawful neutral, 3rd level spells, and then regular Hellknight is lawful heavy arm proficiency, base attack bonus. Got it. Also got to make sure it's lawful character. Because Hellknights are all about the law. The law above all else. And also, hanging out with devils and stuff. They like devils. They're devil worshippers. devils different from being demons. Like, devils are relatively chill sometimes. Asmodeus is cool. Don't forget, you can technically have a Paladin of Asmodeus. Alright, let's get you on... Actually, let's get you on Cleric. Man, Aeon is the coolest. It's such a cool story. Every single... Like, the Aeon has... Aeon has, like, really, really boring parts, and then it has the most insane pop-offs at certain points. Specifically for someone who's gone through parts of the game and then also ran the AP. Like, this... There's some cool stuff in Aeon. Anyway, we were going for Hellknight, right? Yes. Hellknight Signifier requires Knowledge Arcana, Knowledge World, Persuasion. Persuasion, Knowledge Arcana. So Knowledge Arcana, Knowledge World, Persuasion. And Arcane Armor Training. Or Warrior Priest. Whichever one. Okay, wait. Knowledge Arcana, Knowledge World... Persuasion. Okay, and then I need to hit what with these? 5. Excellent. So, 5th level cleric it is. Go there. And now we qualify for Hellknight Signifier. Alright, so Hellknight Signifier is a prestige class, I believe that was added in Way of the Hellknight, which is a campaign-setting book which details a lot of Hellknight orders, including... Let's see... I believe that's actually one of the first instances where they actually did like a lot of detail on the Order of the Godclaw. It has like a bunch of... I want to say it had a bunch of Hellknight archetypes as well, including like a Devil Summoner for the Summoner. Hellknight Armiger for Fighter. It included Signifier and regular Hellknight, and then also went into a detail about a bunch of different orders, like Godclaw, Pike, Torrent, Gate, Rack, etc. I remember specifically the Order of the Pyre has a magical collapsible pyre that they can use in order to burn heretics, and then special magic fire beads that they can use to burn the heretics even better. Also, they have a set of feats, which is very goofy. It's one of the few feats that actually uses Sunder in the game I can think of, where you can actually sunder a target's... I want to say it's if you sunder a target's, like, uh, religious symbol, like if it's a cleric or something, you can sunder a holy symbol of their god, and it'll actually set them on fire for being heretics. So, one of very few things. I was looking at it when I was trying to make a Sunder build, and it's very goofy. Anyway, back to Hellknight Signifier. Hellknight Signifier, you got Order. You had to select one of these orders to be part of. The Order of the Chain, the Order of the Gate, the Order of the Godclaw, Nail, Pyre, Rack, and Scourge. Each of these gives you a small bonus. These are kind of similar to how... I believe these are similar to how the Cavalier works, in that you get an order to go with there, but these ones give you, like, little things. Weapon and armor proficiency. You have proficiency with heavy armor, which actually means I didn't need to take that feat, but hey, whatever, it's fine. Hellknight Signifier spellcasting. At first level and every level thereafter, a Hellknight Signifier gains new spells per day as if she had belonged to... as she also gained a level in the previous prestige class. There you go, so I get to keep my cleric spellcasting. Also, this is a full BAB class. No, it's not. It's a 3/4 BAB class. So... I skip a BAB right there, but I get it. I only skip 2 levels of BAB here, so that's not bad at all. It's like cleric casting. Arcane Armor Expertise. At second level, if a Hellknight Signifier is the Arcane Armor Training feat, he gains Arcane Armor Mastery as a bonus feat. Signifier Armor Training. At third level, while Hellknight Signifier wears armor, he reduces the armor check penalty by 1 to a maximum of 0 and reduces the arcane spell failure chance by 5%. At 8th level, he reduces his armor check penalty by an additional 1 and reduces the arcane spell failure chance by an additional 5%. Additionally, a Hellknight Signifier's speed is not reduced by wearing medium or heavy armor. So that fits in. It's not quite the same as what I remember, but it does fit in with the Signifiers in the regular pen and paper game, where they are the casting arm, but they're also able to wear full armor. If I remember correctly, Signifier armor actually is Hellknight full plate, but casters can cast in it perfectly fine. So if you don't have that, which you don't in this game because it doesn't exist, you instead get to take this, which gets you armor training. Yeah, which order is that? Order of the Gate? While Hellknight of the Gate wears armor, he reduces the arcane spell failure chance by 5% at first level, 10th at 5th, and 20% at 9th level. Yeah, that would do it. So you get that on top of Arcane Armor Mastery, which reduces it by 20 as well, so it's a 40% reduction. And I want to say... 40% reduction plus the reduction here, which is another 10%, so it's 50% reduction. What's full plate? Let me just look up Hellknight full plate. So Hellknight plate has a arcane spell failure chance of 35%. Yeah, so you can cast in full plate, no problem. Granted, it is only a 3/4 BAB, so you're not going to be... Yeah, well, shields take a hand, so that's fine. It is a 3/4 BAB class, and it doesn't give you any bonus feats. So you're not going to be fighting in combat, but you can totally cast an armor. Yeah, it's true. Better than a wizard BAB. You could totally just take... You could take this and then go straight into Eldright Knight, couldn't you? Because you need to be... You need... What? You need... 3rd level spells, so you need to be level 5, 15, then 5 levels of Eldritch Knight. Just in case you wanted more BAB. You don't even need to go all the way up here. So anyway, Hellknight Signifier training. Yeah. So that gives you armor training as if you were a fighter. Just, you know, if you want a little bit of extra movement speed there. Assiduous Gaze. At 4th level, a Hellknight Signifier gains the Assiduous Gaze ability. Can use it for the number of rounds equal to class level once per day. Gains the benefits of True Seeing for the duration. That's really good. Can use the ability 2 times per day at 7th level. Assiduous Gaze. At 4th level, a Hellknight Signifier gains the Assiduous Gaze ability. That's not helpful. What does it do? Is it just True Sight? Is that all it does? Okay. Alright, this level. Okay, that's fine then. It's just True Sight. That's great. This level, you get 6th level. Hellknight Signifier gains a +2 bonus on saving throws against spells of Illusion School. At this level, you get DR5 versus Chaotic, and you become immune to poison. And then at level 10, at 10th level, wearing his Signifying Mask, a Hellknight Signifier is immune to blindness, gazes, and vision-based effects, and gains a +2 bonus on all persuasion skill checks. That's not bad at all. So if you wanted to go for memes, you could totally go Hellknight Signifier up to this level, so 8th level, and then just take Eldright Knight the whole way, so you can cast in full armor, you can wield a sword with like roughly 3/4 BAB all the way through, and just have your wizard casting the whole time as well. Just works. It just works. Alternatively, you could just be a cleric and do the same thing. Not an Eldritch Knight, obviously, but you could just do the same thing as a cleric because you get 3/4 BAB the whole time. But yeah, this is totally something you can use. This is a very good prestige class, honestly, for a cleric. It's a great prestige class for a wizard, honestly. Better than cleric, because clerics can already wear armor without having to worry about casting. Hey! Yeah, if you're going into this as a cleric, you are missing out a bit. It's not as good for a cleric as it is for a wizard. Clerics, you're going to get domain stuff. Clerics, you get domain stuff. Clerics get the ability to wear armor. So any of this stuff is not really that useful to a cleric. You definitely want to go into this as an arcane caster. Yeah, that's true. Sorks don't beg for their power. They just kind of... They get it out of their juice. Their internal juices coagulate into magic. Clerics are beggars. Clerics are beggars, and then what are oracles then? Are they people who just are forced to become beggars? Anyway, yeah. This is a decent prestige class. I definitely go for this one. Like, even if you don't go all the way up to 10, definitely go up to at least up to here, or even just to here, just to get Arcane Armor Mastery and all that stuff. You get Order of the Gate, you gotta go to what? 9th level? That's an extra 10%, so you can do the math out. Yes, generally. I think so. Oracles are like Source, just a bit less lucky due to the curse. Well, they are still getting powers from gods, just they don't want it necessarily because of the curse. I don't actually know what would happen if your alignment changes and you're a cleric. I've never had an alignment change issue, and I've never played a Divine Caster. I imagine you probably would, because you have lost the grace of your god, although you would have to do a lot to get out of your god's range, since you need to go 2 steps over from wherever they are. Like, you need worship to lawful god and then just be hard chaotic the whole time. I imagine you probably will lose your spells, but I don't know offhand. Anyway, yeah, that's Hellknight Signifier. Let's take a level of that real quick. Let's go over to the gate. Now, what do I need to get for a regular Hellknight? Need 2 more BB, so that's 2 more levels. There we go. Ah, okay. Well, that would make sense as well. They wouldn't want to screw people out of everything. Though you could always just... I guess Atonement's not really in here. You could just respec, I guess, to get yourself back over to the alignment. Which is basically an atonement, if you're thinking about it. Alright, so Hellknight. This is the class that I know best of all of them, because Regel's in here. So Hellknight is a pseudo-paladin kind of class. Oh, there is a scroll of attunement? Okay, there you go. There you go, then. That's how you do it. So yeah, Hellknight's the big old boy. It's the one where you actually get to smite things, and you get to be like a paladin fighting off chaos, except you're actually not really that good of a guy. You're just kind of evil sometimes. You get Smite Chaos, which functions very similarly to Smite Evil, but not against evil targets. Yeah, you know, Paladin has a lot of stuff going for it, for instance, caster levels, but Hellknights have their own stuff too. So you get Smite Chaos. You got to choose an order. I've already selected Order of the Gate. This does stack. This totally stacks. And armor training. So like a fighter, they get better armor. They get to be able to use it faster. They get to move better decks in it. They have Force of Will, so they get bonuses versus will saves. Wait, they got... okay, right. They get a bonus on will saves against specific descriptors, which is Charm, Compulsion, or Fear. So this is actually not a great ability. It's a nice little bonus, but it's not really that good. Get Mega Life Regen. Oh, what's it do? Order of the Pyre. Whenever you receive fire damage, you've gained fast healing 5 for the number of rounds equal to your level in the Prestige class. At 5th level, you gain fast healing 10, and 9th, you get fast healing 15. Wow, okay. And that's whenever you gain fire damage. Ooh, okay. Okay, yeah, okay. Just, zap yourself with a little jolt or something and just watch your health go back up. Okay, yeah, I totally see it. I totally see it. Yeah. If you wanna become a health regen tank, just do that. Alright, so the Force of Will thing is not great. It's a nice bonus to have on occasion, but it's like you get a +6 bonus against one of these things that might not work. Or you might just not choose the right one and then it doesn't work. I guess the best one would probably be Charm, followed by Compulsion, and then Fear. But it's just like, it's a crapshoot. Like, do you want to take the risk of being dominated or running away from combat constantly? All enchantments? I guess, but is Dominate under Compulsion? Oh, is that under Compulsion? Okay. I thought Charm had Dominate. Alright, well, either way, it's so I guess Compulsion and then the other two. It's not a great bonus. Disciplines, on the other hand, are weird little things. You get a bunch of spell-like abilities to choose from, which are based on your Charisma modifier, so get a good Charisma modifier. You get the ability to, for example, smite chaos on a creature and cause it to become mute if it fails on a will save. Or, as a free action, move faster by 10 feet and get a bonus to strength, which also applies to your mount if you happen to be a cavalier. Or Pentamic Faith. You can select a domain. Or you can cause a creature to take pain if they fail at a will save. Now, the problem with this ability is there are enough things that you can get through here without having something that needs a save. But if you're going for a heavy melee class or a heavy martial class, you're probably not going to have a high charisma to begin with. Or have some way to, like, shunt your charisma checks off onto something else. So this is kind of an iffy thing to work on. Fearsomeness. Hellknight uses persuasion skill to cause creature becomes quaking. Spam becomes frightened. Yeah, so that one is good. But again, that's charisma based. It's not as charisma based as command or shackle or something, but it is still charisma based. So if you're doing this stuff and you have a good charisma, hey, great. You can use these things as spell-like abilities. If you don't, it's there. Like really, if you don't have a good charisma, your only choices are really fearsomeness, onslaught, tracker, and maybe Pentamic Faith. Because the rest of those require will saves, so it's very iffy. And that's basically all their abilities up to this point. You get Lawbringer. You get to bypass lawful damage reduction. Infernal Armor. You get a +2 bonus on persuasion checks. In addition, while wearing armor, you gain resistance to fire 30, resistance to acid 10, and resistance to cold 10, which is pretty sick. And finally, Hell's Knight, which gives you the ability to slap on Axiomatic, Flaming Burst, or Unholy onto your weapon. Additionally, you become immune to fire while wearing armor, which means that if you use Order of the Pyre, you can just zap yourself with fire and be good forever. Out of all these, though, in this game, I think the only ones you would probably use are Axiomatic and Flaming Burst, and only if you have Ascendant Element for fire, which you're probably not going to take as a melee character, so really it's just Axiomatic. Just, that's really it. Like, there's stuff here that's cool, but a lot of it's more limited in a campaign where you're only fighting specific types of enemies. Not that you're not going to be able to find a use for Unholy and Flaming Burst, but you're going to be taking Axiomatic most of the time anyway if you're at this level. So it's cool prestige class. It has some stuff to it. It's full BAB, which means it's good for melee. The only trick is that, like, if you're doing fighter, I think you get this thing which just stacks on, and then it's kind of all over the place, really. You have to have a high charisma for this, but also you want to be a melee character, so you have to have high dex, strength, constitution, and then also you have an ability which kind of doesn't function 2/3 of the time. It's a weird one. It feels like it didn't quite transfer over. Actually, let me take a look at something here. Let me take a look at fighter. I want Hellknight. I want Armature, which is the Hellknight one. So we get that. We get choose an order. You get knowledges. Ardent. Saving throw. Armor training is still there. Yeah, it's like a paladin, but it's not as good as a paladin in this specific instance, is basically what I'm saying. You can still use it. Regel's great, but it's kind of a weird prestige class to go into in general. Alright, what's next on the list? Stalwart Defender, I guess. Dodge, Toughness, BAB 7. Okay, let's try that one out then. Let's get a fighter in here. God, I wish I didn't have to do this every single time. I don't have the money to keep buying mercenaries, though. Okay, let's take a fighter up. Before I do that, let me just double check. Dragon Disciple spontaneously cast first level spell, so it only works for Sorcerer. And I'm going to want a Dragon Bloodline. Okay, so Sorcerer. zoom. There we go. Okay, Draconic Bloodline, black. Let's go with combat casting. Actually, power is +2. And let's go with Gozra, as usual. There we go.
Move aside.
Back to the old Nexus. Okay, so it was dodge and toughness, right? Yeah, I think it was dodge toughness. There we go. And I don't know. Okay, so dodge toughness, that sets me up for Stalwart Defender. Yeah, just kind of time just kind of slips away when you're doing this kind of stuff, huh? Okay, so favorite class in pen and paper, Alchemist, easy. Favorite class in the game, difficult, still probably Alchemist, or also likely. Okay, so my absolute favorite class. My absolute favorite class is Alchemist in pen and paper, but I'm also partial to Fighter. In the game, I don't know. Probably still Alchemist, but there's also a lot of other stuff, like maybe Rogue has Rowdy, which is super cool. Kineticist seems better in here. Cavalier might be cool. Barbarian's cool. There's a bunch of stuff. Really. Also, hello, Dominus. No, I'm not. I'm just going through the prestige classes to figure out what they do. Because I don't know most of these prestige classes, and some of them are different. Weird that Stonelord has a lot of stuff that says Stalwart Defender levels. Does it now? I'll have to take a look at that. Yes. Actually, can I go out there? That's Stonelord Monk, right? Can't take Monk. No, that's Student of Stone. Which one's Stonelord? Anyway, Stalwart Defender needs BAB 7. Dragon Disciple needs 5. So 4 more for levels. Yeah, that's mostly what I'm going through, because Loremaster is not a good prestige class, but in this case, it's, oh boy, is it. It's something. Okay, no Dracana. Excellent. So now we can do this. Alright. So now we get to pick from 2 different classes. We get to go into... Well, not yet. Actually, Dragon Disciples first. Yeah, boy, is it. That and being able to slip into Greater Vital Strike at level 1 is ridiculous. But we'll get there when we get there. Anyway, Dragon Disciple. So Dragon Disciple is the class that Dragaboos like to be, because it turns you into a dragon at high level. But anyway, Dragon Disciple. Arcane Spellcasting, you pick Sorcerer and you keep upping Sorcerer. Good. Natural Armor Increase. So each of the things in Dragon Disciple gets you bonuses towards becoming a dragon, effectively. You get natural armor, just increases here up to 3. You get an ability boost to strength, which increases to +4 here. You get a blind sense and blind sense here out to... let's see. At 5th level, you get blind sense out to 25 feet. And then at 10th level, this increases out to 50 feet. A creature with blind sense is still denied dex bonus to armor class against attacks from creatures it cannot see. And then over here we have Constitution ability score boost. Yeah, good 4-level dip for all that stuff is always fancy. Okay, Dragon Bite. At 2nd level, Dragon Disciple gains a Bite attack. It's a natural armor attack that deals 1d6 points of damage, plus 1.5 times the Disciple's strength modifier. Also deals an additional bit of energy damage based on your dragon type. You get a breath weapon at level 3. Just straight up a breath weapon. Type and shape of the breath weapon depend on the type of dragon selected by the Dragon Disciple. Over here we get Dragon Bite. This is the upgrade to the Dragon Bite. Dragon Form. You get the ability to use Form of the Dragon, or Dragon Kind 1, it's called here. Can use the ability twice per day. You get a boost to intelligence here. Wings. Just +3 dodge bonus to AC against melee attacks, immunity to ground-based effects such as difficult terrain, and finally, the ability to use Dragon Kind 2. Cast level for this effect is equal to the effect of sorcerer levels for his draconic bloodline. So... yeah, exactly. So... yeah, down here it actually says here, Dragon Disciple adds his level to his sorcerer levels when determining the powers gained from his bloodline. So this thing basically is just a prestige class for if you want to be a sorcerer who really wants to be a dragon. That's really all it is. It's a holdover from 3.5 as well, so that's probably where it originated or something like that, where someone would go, I want to be the dragon, and then just become the dragon. There's not a whole lot to it. It does not affect your spellcasting, so you get to keep your arcane spellcasting. You get to keep your bloodline, so really there's nothing negative for doing this, as far as I can tell. Like, what... yeah, the dinosaur bones is kind of a weird thing to have. Because you only get a couple of those. I mean, a couple being like, I think I have 20 or so. But still, it is weird that it is a rare sort of material cost. So it's a good thing that you can get... it's a good thing that you can get... you can get 24-hour legendary proportions. You missed 1 level spellcasting? Oh yeah, at 2nd level, that's true. So that's actually not uncommon. A lot of prestige classes do tend to skip out on a level of spellcasting as part of, like, the cost for getting into a new prestige class. Like, let me double check something here. Let's go to... yeah, just as an example, Eldritch Knight actually has that as well. Eldritch Knight, you miss the 1st level of spellcasting. If you go to this one... do I actually qualify? No, it's right there. Yeah, like right there. Level 2 arcane spellcasting. Same deal. So, like I said, this is a fairly common cost, because you take your new level going into new class, you don't actually get your arcane or whatever spellcasting level adjusted up. Another example is, I want to say, Arcane Trickster or Assassin. You lose out... like, it does give you... sneak attack progression, but you lose out on a bit of sneak attack progression when you switch into it. So that's why Accomplished Sneak Attacker exists. Accomplished Sneak Attacker was created for the purposes of qualifying you for a prestige class earlier, like Arcane Trickster, but also it exists to help offset things that would reduce your sneak attack progression for other ways. There's also... there's a feat that actually does give you back a level of your spellcasting when going into Prestige class specifically. I don't remember what it's called offhand, but it was added into the game fairly late on. I want to say in Paths of Prestige. It just gave you, like, that level of spellcasting back. Does it? Oh, I want to go to... There we go. Oh, with an exception for 5th and 9th levels. So that's the Blind Sense level and the Wings level, I guess. Yeah. Alright, well. So that's, so that means you would be capped at 7th level spells, then? Because you're losing 3 levels. You normally hit 9th level at... $18. So you'd be capped at 8th level, I think. Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Right. So yeah, yeah, that makes sense why it's capped at level 4 then, so you don't lose out fully on your casting level stuff. But if you want to go into it more, if you want to focus more in on the dragon stuff and you don't care about having as much 8th level casting or 9th level casting, then it's an option. Again, I'm not particularly familiar with a lot of the caster prestige classes because I never really play full casters. But that's an option. Like if you want to go more on the melee side, because this is also a 3/4 BAB prestige class, so if you want to go more heavy into melee as opposed to a normal sorcerer and go into the dragon stuff, blah 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 blah, that's where you go. Just keeping in mind that you will not be as good of a caster as a regular sorcerer, but instead you get to turn into a dragon and bite people, and also be very strong because you do get a bonus to your strength and int, which is actually a weird pick now that I think about it. Why int? I guess because dragons are smart? Anyway, what I'm saying is that kobolds love this prestige class. Moving on. What are we up to? We're up to 6? Yeah, so 1 more. There we go, and now we can be a Stalwart Defender. Real dragons such as Golden Dragon Path have a minimum stats. They gotta give you all. Oh. Gotcha, that makes sense. That would do it. Alright, anyway, Stalwart Defender is one I don't really know particularly well. Honestly, I kind of keep mixing this one up with the Zweihander Sentinel archetype for the Warder from Path of War, which is third party. Because that's what I've seen more of than this prestige class. Really? That's, yeah, okay. I did hear that dragon boosts your stat a lot, but I didn't realize it was that much. That's pretty nuts, honestly. Anyway, Stalwart Defender. So, Defender, you get... What do we got here? AC bonus. Dodge bonus to AC that starts at +1, improves to +2, +3, and +4 at 10th level. You get Defensive Stance. A first level, a Stalwart Defender can enter defensive stance, a position of readiness, and trance-like determination. Stalwart Defender can maintain this stance for a number of rounds per day equal to 4 plus his Constitution modifier. At each level after the first, he can maintain the stance for 2 additional rounds per day, like a Rage. Temporary increase to Constitution, do not blah blah blah. Stalwart Defender can enter a defensive stance as free action, so this is just a Rage. While in defensive stance, a Stalwart Defender gains a +2 bonus on melee attack rolls, melee damage rolls, thrown weapon damage rolls, and will saving throws. In addition, he gains a +2 dodge bonus to armor class and 2 temporary hit points per hit die. This is just a Rage. Except you get a bonus to AC instead. Stalwart Defender can end his defensive stance as a free action. After ending the stance, he's fatigued for a number of rounds equal to 2 times the number of rounds spent in the stance. This is just a Rage. This is just a Rage. This is literally just a Rage. Defensive stance requires a level of emotional calm, and it may not be maintained by a character in a Rage, such as in the Rage class feature or Rage spell. So it's just a Rage. Alright. What do we get here? Defensive powers. As a Stalwart Defender gains levels, he augments his defensive stance. Starting at 2nd level, the Stalwart Defender gains a defensive power. He gains another defensive power for every 2 levels of Stalwart Defender attained after 2nd level. Stalwart Defender gains the benefit of defensive powers only while in defensive stance. So these are Rage powers. So you get Fearless Defense. You get to be immune to Shaken and Frightened. You get Improved Damage Reduction. Increases always active while the Stalwart Defender is in a defensive stance. You can select this power up to 2 times. Immune to Sicken and Nauseated. Defender heals 1d8 points of damage plus his Constitution modifier for every 2 levels. It's attained above 2nd. This healing increases by 1d8. You can enter a defensive stance even while fatigued. While maintaining a defensive stance after using this ability, he is immune to the fatigue condition. And Smash. Oh, you can't move. Oh, okay. While in defensive stance, the Stalwart Defender may make an extra slam attack per round, even if he doesn't normally have a slam attack. If used as part of a full attack, the extra attack is made at the Stalwart Defender's bonus -5, so it's like a natural attack. Smash deals 1d4 points of damage, plus half the character's strength modifier. While in defensive stance, the Stalwart Defender cannot willingly move from his current position through any means. You get Uncanny Dodge. These are defensive powers. AC bonus increases. And here, damage reduction. You get +1, 3, and then 5. Improved Uncanny Dodge, and then another improved Uncanny Dodge. Well, no, he can't move, but he should be able to... Yeah, he cannot willingly move. Doesn't mean he can't be moved. That said, this would be really funny with a Monk of the Mountain, which has an ability that says it cannot be unwillingly moved from its position. So, Stalwart Defender into that would be real goofy. So, this would be a really interesting prestige class if a couple things were in this game. So, first off, there's a feat called Combat Patrol. And what Combat Patrol does is it allows you to increase your threatened range by, some amount according to your BAB. You do that with Lunge, you do that with like a Whip or something, and it allows you to... Yeah, Demon Teleport or Teleport Vital Strike, or probably Dimensional Retribution, which lets you Dimension Door if you get targeted by a spell. That probably also wouldn't work. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you can teleport? Oh! Huh. Okay. So you can't move, but you can teleport out to the other locations. Interesting. Which means I guess there's a couple other spells that could also theoretically work. Okay, I see. Anyway, so as far as this prestige class goes, it has a lot of cool abilities, but it only works if you're already up in their face, or have some way to drag them to you. Or you have the ability to teleport with the dimension door or whatnot. Outside of that, this might be decent if you have a ranged character. Although if you have a ranged character, you probably... Actually, does that even work? Nope, it's melee attack and damage rolls. Oh, thrown weapon damage rolls. So it could work with thrown. Could work with a throwing character. You just get to stand in one spot and trance out and start chucking stuff. It is a full BAB class, so this wouldn't be out of place stacking up with Fighter, like Wendwog could probably use it. Yeah, it's a free action, but you do get fatigued after doing it. Until you hit, whatever point it was. Actually, no, it's an ability, isn't it? Yeah, it was Rouse Defense, so take 2 levels of that to hit it, and that would work. Yeah, I could see this being used, but it's... The thing I would really love to do with it, which you can't do in the game, is be able to block a whole area off by having increased range with reach, and just turning yourself on in the middle of it and becoming an immobile, like, turret, effectively, that just stands there and whips people that try to come through. That's what I did with that one character who had a 90-foot reach, although he wasn't Stalwart Defender. Otherwise, I guess the best way to do this would probably be with a throwing character. Just sit in the middle, turn yourself into a turret. There is that one mythic ability that also puts you in a trance where you can't move and you buff allies around you, which might be good with this. Oh yeah, so the name of the character was Stonewall Wall of Stone Jackson. He was the man with a 90-foot reach. And what he did was, I basically had stacked up a bunch of different reach increasing effects. So like lunge, a spell called Long Arm, which increases your reach by a certain amount. Fluid Body, which increases your reach by like 15 feet. Just stack all these effects up, which allowed him to basically ward off an entire 90-foot area around him, which he had reach within. Like, anything that moved in that area, he could AoO. So then you do that, he was threatening this entire zone, and there's a couple other options that you could do with it after that point. You can go with the Vanguard Shield style, and use a tower shield. And what that would allow him to do is, at any point, if someone got attacked within his zone of threatening, like within his threatened zone, he could drop a tower shield on that ally in order to give them like a +9 bonus from the tower shield's AC. Another option would be taking the stand still feats, which if any enemy moved within that reach, he could whack him and attempt to make a check, and if it succeeded, they fail. They cannot move from that spot anymore. And the goofiest one, the absolute goofiest one that I could think of, is there is a feat in this game, but not quite as stupid in this game, called Artful Dodge. And what that does is it allows you to use your intelligence modifier instead of your dex modifier for things that require dodge. It's a replacement feat, basically. Except that they fucked up, and they created a combat stamina feat that uses it. So combat stamina is one of the best feats they've ever printed in Pathfinder. What it is it's a single feat. It gives you like a pool of stamina points that regenerate over time, like relatively short amount of time, a couple of minutes they regenerate up. You can spend the points in combat to give yourself a bonus to attack, or you can spend the points in order to get special abilities happen from feats you have. As an example, Power Attack has a stamina usage, where you pay like 3 stamina points into it after you use the feat. When you use the feat, it'll hit, and then you lose the bonus and the penalty to your attack rolls after your turn ends, instead of keeping the Power Attack penalty the whole way through. There's one for mobility, which I think is a passive one. No, it's an active one where you pay some stamina and you get to increase your your dodge bonus when you use dodge. There's one for Vital Strike where you get to increase, like, you can reroll dice, I think. There's a bunch of these ones that are either active or passive. The one for Artful Dodge is, hold on, let me read this because it's very stupid. Alright, so the exact wording for the combat stamina use for Artful Dodge. Hold on. Okay, it's not on this one. I'm going to have to go to Nethys. Okay, going to Artful Dodge here. There we go. Combat trick. You can spend 5 stamina points to gain a +1 dodge bonus for each opponent that you threaten that no other ally threatens. No, okay, I must have misspoken. I didn't mean into AC. What I meant was it allows you to use your intelligence modifier to qualify for things instead of dexterity. That's what I meant. I don't know if I said into AC. What I do mean, though, is that if you spend the stamina points, you get a +1 dodge bonus for each opponent that you threaten that no other ally threatens. Now, with a 90-foot reach, that allows you to threaten a very large area, which translates into a very large dodge bonus, which makes it, I think, the theoretical limit. Like, this is a theoretical theory craft, will never happen in a real game situation. In an instance where this character was able to get surrounded in space, so they were flying in the air, get surrounded by a bunch of swarming enemies who have who are tiny or something, so you could fit 4 in a space. He could get an AC of like 2,000 or something. Still gets hit on a 20, but 2,000 AC is nothing to sneeze at. It's completely absurd. It's completely useless because nobody will ever hit anything close to that. But you could totally do it. Which I believe the only thing that makes him vulnerable is a Neutronium Golem, which bypasses AC, but he could totally dodge a hit from it. If you ever see the stats for a Neutronium Golem, that thing's dumb. Anyway, that's Artful Dodge. Back to what I was doing here. But yeah, so I'd say, again, for Stalwart Defender, neat if you can teleport to them, or you're ranged, or I wish they had large reach things in here. Without it, it's kinda bad. If there was a way to get a barbarian that could stack the rage effects, that would be cool, but it specifically calls out rage effects that don't stack. And I don't think there's a barbarian that actually has anything like that, right? Yeah, I don't think Instinctual Warrior will work. Focused Rage, like, seems like the kind of thing that might. Total number of rounds per rage. Yeah, I don't think that'll work. So, Stalwart Defender, interesting to dip into, not particularly great. There are 8 games? Really? Okay, well that sounds good. Yeah, well the DLC is... There's 3 DLCs post the story here. But I didn't... Oh, I didn't know there were 8 things coming. That's really good. Anyway, yeah, that's Stalwart Defender. It's kind of meh, honestly. It has neat bits to it, but kind of meh overall. Also, I don't know what's up with this. Like, let me actually take a look at Stalwart Defender real quick. Stalwart. Oh. Oh, so you're actually mean like full adventures. Okay. So what do they get? They get defensive stance at level 1, defensive power at 2, uncanny dodge at 3. Yeah, so this is all the same. At 9th level, they get an ability called Mobile Defense. At 9th level, a Stalwart Defender can adjust his position while maintaining a defensive stance. While in a defensive stance, he can take 1 5-foot step each round without losing the benefit of the stance. Oh boy, a single 5-foot step. Ooh boy. Iron Gods or Rise of the Rune Lords? Iron Gods, probably, because of the sci-fi hiring. But Rise of the Rune Lords would be pretty cool too. I'm gonna guess that this is probably a bug, and it's not supposed to be a second improved uncanny dodge, and it's probably supposed to be mobile defense. Oh. It also has a level 10 capstone, which isn't in here. Which is once per day, when in a defensive stance, Stalwart Defender can make 1 melee attack against an opponent within reach in response to an attack that would reduce him to negative hit points, knock him unconscious, or kill him. The attack hits, roll the damage dice for the attack twice, and add the results together, but do not multiply damage bonus for strength. Bonus damage not multiplied. Once the fair's attack resolved, he suffers the normal effects of the attack that provoke this ability. Ah, okay. So that might be it then. So this is probably that mobile defense. Although again, it is a bit weird that they don't have a capstone here, but I guess the capstone wouldn't really work in this version of the game. All right. So on to what's next on the list here. Got Stalwart Defender, Loremaster. So Loremaster and Arcane Trickster, I guess. And Winter Witch. I could probably do Winter Witch at the same time. So let's do a Witch. Yeah, well, I feel like Loremaster is probably not supposed to have the abilities it does. I just have a wild guess. Because that seems not right. Alright, let's get a Winter Witch going here. I don't know why I don't have it. Okay, so I need what? I need the Frost or Winter Patrons. I need 5 levels of Knowledge Arcana. I need Trickery, Mobility, Sneak Attack 2. Third level spells, Skill, Focus, and Meta Magic. And it needs to be evil and have Stealth 5. Okay, that's easy enough to do. Okay, so Stealth, Mobility, Trickery? Knowledge Arcana, Trickery, Mobility, Stealth. So Knowledge Arcana, Trickery, Mobility, Stealth. Perfect. And I'm going to want to get... bolster spell. And... skill... Nope. Skill. Focus. Athletics. Knowledge Conjure. Let's get a cat. We're getting the Winter Patron. So I don't see Frost on here. That's probably Elemental. And doesn't really matter what I grab here. Evil, so let's go for Asmodeus. There we go. Favorite tabletop kill? Let's go with this one. Okay. This is a good time to bring it up while I level up my character here. I just want to double check that I have everything set up before I go any further. So yes. Yeah. Okay, so this is set. I just need to hit spell level. Just need to hit spell level. Need to hit spell level, and Assassin will get me the sneak attack I need. Yeah, perfect. Or I can take one level Assassin and one level that. So. Alright, so my favorite skill. Oh, nice. So, like, you made your own Gish. Thor, like Thor or God Thor or what? When you say Thor, like, how do you mean? Anyway, my favorite kill is probably... So this one's going to take a little bit of backstory to sort of... This one's going to take a little bit of backstory to explain. So I was in a game where we were playing Martial Avatar. Okay, so he wasn't the god, but he was basically the god. So we were playing in a game where we were playing as godlings. That's what we were called, because we were like avatars or children of deities and whatnot, right? I, in particular, like in my party, we had a godling of Iori and one of... Let's see, who was in my party? It was... So we had Aurori, that was Sajit. We had, I think it was Anya, was Urgathoa. God, who else was in that party? Urgathoa, Sajit. Lord Grip was the other party. I don't remember offhand, actually. I don't remember a lot of the characters. I don't remember the specifics of a bunch of the characters. I remember most of them, but I don't remember which one was in my party because it's all sort of melds together. I used to. I haven't played in a little bit. I kind of burned out after I ran a party of Gestalt characters with 2 characters per character through Wrath of the Righteous up until Illusion Era. I just have a very in-depth working knowledge of the game as a result of, I like playing dumb characters. My favorite characters are the dumbest characters I've made. One of my favorite characters was Manfist of Luntown, who was a kineticist swashbuckler brawler? Tristalt, who was dumb as a rock and was a wood kineticist. No. Yeah, he was a wood kineticist, and he just used his kineticist ability to sift through wood to check doors for traps and punch things with his man fists. He was just a naked dude with a top hat, basically. I also enjoy, like, the mechanical aspect of creating a thing. What was the... What's the archetype? I'm a... What is it? Timmy, Spike, and... What's the last one? I'm the other one. I'm the combo player. Jimmy? Johnny? I think it's Johnny. Blade Singer. Oh. Right, that is a... Wasn't that an Elven Prestige class or something? Anyway, I like creating characters... I like creating characters that have a very wide mechanical range. Like, I've got a variety of characters who are functionally, in Pathfinder rules, functional representations of Solid Snake, or Iron Man, or the Bloodborne Hunter. That one is a fun one. So, that's basically that background, right? So, for the character I made for this Godlings game, I played a child of Nethys, and I decided to go all in on poisons. Because nobody ever gives poisons any respect. They kind of suck. Good reason. They're expensive, they're not very effective, there's a lot of things that are immune to them. Nobody uses poisons. So I decided, you know what, let's just for funsies, let's make poisons a thing. So I started digging through the books, and I came to the realization that, wow, there's a lot of stuff in Pathfinder which nobody ever uses because everyone sort of agrees it's bad. But if you actually take a look at it, they kept buffing it so people would stop thinking they're bad, but nobody ever takes a look at them because they're bad. So poisons are secretly kind of busted. So here's what happened, right? I was an alchemist and a rogue. It was a Gestalt game. And I had gone all in on crafting poisons. I have my base class bonus to crafting alchemical items. I had the Master Alchemist feat, which increases my crafting speed by 10 times, plus a multiplier of my intelligence for how many poisons I can craft in a dose. And I just started crafting poisons. And it turns out, if you bump your craft check high enough, you can just chuck out like 100 doses a day, which means you can start chucking out a lot of money really, really fast. So my character broke the economy, effectively, by himself. He was creating like hundreds of thousands of gold per day by the end of it. And that's just the start of it. I also, because when you're using poisons, you also have to look at ways to up the DC. And I've got a whole list of them. Like, there's specific items you can go into, there's specific feats, there's specific abilities. There's the Guild Poisoner Prestige class. And what that does is it gives you an ability called Pernicious Poison. And if you sneak attack something, you get to add your sneak attack dice to the DC of the poison. Which means that if you do something like your capitalist build, I mean, I literally spent my money on like 10 apparatuses of the Qualish by the end of that game just because I could. Actually, no, it gets even dumber than that, come to think of it. I'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, we're going through this, right? And I'm going like, okay, I've got all these different things that are boosting the DC of my poison. What's the DC of my Drow Poison? Drow Poison, just to clarify, is a DC 13 fort save. And if you fail your fort save, you fall unconscious for a minute. And if you fail a second fort save a minute later, you fall unconscious for a couple hours. And with all the stuff I was applying to it, I had a DC like 40-something or 35 to my Drow Poisons, which meant that at the level we were at, nothing could withstand them. They also affected undead and outsiders. So, yeah, I just became a one-hit kill machine, effectively. Usually 2-hit, because some things would roll 20s, but, you know, 1 hit. So that was happening. And then I started to expand out and say, okay, well, how do I poison something like a shadow, which doesn't have an anatomy, or poison something like a golem, which literally doesn't have blood? And I started looking into alternate ways to how to poison these things, which involves various sundry magic items that allow me to basically remove their ability to fight. Like golems, there's a Key of Abadar item or something, which just makes them non-hostile to you if you have it. So that's going on, and I finally came across the grand holy grail of poison builds. So, there is a metamagic called Toxic. And what the Toxic metamagic does is it increases the spell level by 1, and if you fail the save, you get afflicted by a poison that is chosen by the Toxic metamagic at time of preparation. So I could say cast a Searing Bolt on somebody, and if they get hit, they have to make a save, and if they fail the save, they get hit by this poison. Now, there also was a thing added in a later Splat book, which was a spell storing poison, which is this poison that if you afflict somebody, they get the effects of a spell hit on them as well. Capped at level 3, so you couldn't poison somebody with a Slay Living, for example, or you could poison somebody with a Slumber. Now, if you're a bit quicker on the uptake, you may already be aware of exactly where this is going. Ah yes, Book of Vile Darkness always exists. But yeah, this is all Pathfinder. This is all Pathfinder, and this is all 100% rules legal, as far as I can tell. So, I created a recursive poison. Now, there is a... So the trick here is I needed a spell. I mean, it gets way worse than that. So, what you could do is, theoretically, I could have a poison that inflicted a spell that dealt damage, that inflicted a poison that inflicted a spell that dealt damage, onwards and so forth into infinity. Also, as a side note, this is about when Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, and I figured out that the same thing could also be used to create the Wolbachia. So I could eliminate the ability of a target to communicate any language whatsoever. Anyway, back to what I was doing here. So, I needed a spell that could deal damage to a target, but was also within range for the toxic and spell-storing poisons. And there is, in fact, one spell that is a second-level spell, which targets a personal target and also would qualify for everything else I need. And that was the spell Burning Blood. Burning Blood does a token amount of fire damage. It does like 2 or 1 fire damage to the target on a failed save. And also has some side effects. If it targets an orc, they become enraged. That's actually the only side effect. If it targets an orc, it becomes enraged. Otherwise, it takes a little bit of fire damage. So, you create Burning Blood, Toxic, with a poison that includes Burning Blood, Toxic, with a poison that includes Burning Blood, that is Toxic, that includes Burning Blood, with a poison that includes Toxic, with Burning Blood, that includes a poison that includes Burning Blood with Toxic. And I called this The Vengeful Gaze of God, after a book from the Epic Player's Handbook in 3.5, which you look at something and it takes like 100 d6 damage. And I agreed. I showed this to the DM, and he goes, ugh. I allow it. And I agreed with him that it would never be used, except for very extenuating circumstances, or in the case of my character literally getting written out of the story. Now, fast forward a couple sessions. We come across what is basically a buried dead god that is emerging from the ground and threatening to kill all of us. It already killed like 2 party members. So I turn to the party and go, I got this. You guys run. Because here's the other thing about this poison. It also spreads. This isn't just me taking it and dealing damage to a specific target. Anything it hits becomes a new spread vector for this poison. So I tell the party to get the fuck out, because if they don't, they will all die. I turn to the thing. I go, okay, here we go. Yeah, exactly. It is literally corrupted blood. So I ingest the poison. I fail my save. Because I was not a level 10 alchemist yet, so I was not immune to the poison. And I look at the god, and it instantly catches on fire and dies. As does everything else in the room. However, at the same time, the god also hit me with a spell, which caused a random mental affliction, which made me go insane and paranoid and think everybody was out to get me. Now, also, since it does a token amount of fire damage, I could get past it just by, like, taking fire resistance. It would just give me, like, 5, and that would cover it. Yeah, so that is my favorite kill, and it leads on to another kill, which I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, that poison was called the City Killer for a reason. It could literally wipe out an entire city as a free action. If I target somebody in a city, everybody in that city who is not either an orc or a tiefling or somebody that has immunity to poison or fire would instantly die. And if it spread, it would spread basically as far as it could without anything. It could theoretically wipe out an entire planet if everything was in range, but realistically it wouldn't. It realistically wouldn't even necessarily kill an entire city. It would just wipe out most of it. Let's see. My favorite kill was still Session 1 after Session 0. I was a level 1 Goblin Monkey Samurai. By far the richest dude to backstory in my party, so I split every copper and gold onto an ornate coffin. Our Merc Wizard, played by the DM, cast grease on the big bad level 13 guard cat and succeeded to less escape. Instead, kidnapped her in the coffin, mounted. The alchemist dumped every potion in the coffin, put an anvil on, and drowned her in a lake. That's actually really good. That's really good. The DM had to allow it, though, so... That's really good, though. That's really good. Anyway, speaking of killing the entire world, let me just finish up my story about my character here. So, a follow-up after my character turned insane and paranoid, I created a new character. He was, I don't remember what he was. He was an Astamoy monk. Well... It's a learning lesson. You learn not to put all your eggs in one basket, is what happens there. Or you find a way to bullshit a new big bad in. Lieutenants are always good for that. Really cool. Yeah, that too. Anyway, so after... Let me go back to my story here. After I finished my my thing with the alchemist, I made a new character. He was a Astamoy monk. The gag there was his token was just a silhouette of a guy wearing a karate outfit, because Astamoy are just like black silhouettes of existence. And they did a whole thing. There was even a big crossover section with the other party, because there were two parties running in this game simultaneously. And we were getting close to the end of the game, and this whole time I've been like, you know, my character was doing stuff in the off-screen this whole time. Because prior to this point, my character had amassed a large amount of gold. Like, a hilariously large amount of gold. I was pumping out the net worth of a country fairly regularly. So what I had done with all that money is I had created 2 space stations circling around the planet. First space station was a big old fancy magic thing, staffed to the brim with clones, had a big old death laser pointed at the planet. It was warded up with all these magic spells, and it was completely fake. If anyone went in there and attempted to shut down the death laser, it would fire the death laser into the ship and destroy whoever was in there. And by death laser, I mean I had a bunch of solar collection mirrors circling around the sun and funneling sunlight into a transportation ring that would fire a solar death beam down at the planet. The actual space station was completely mundane, powered by electrolytic power from alchemical lightning, coated in lead, so it was unscryable, and instead of having a solar death beam, it had a giant rail cannon pointed at the planet, which would also blow up the atmosphere if it hit. So that's what happened there. I just had 2 space stations up there because my character was fucking paranoid. And at the end of the campaign, we were getting done with things. Like, the DM wanted the game to end. Big Bad was coming out of a dungeon. And I said to him, my character's going to do the thing now. And he just looks at me and nods. And he describes how there's a sudden searing heat of blinding flash of light, and the city and surrounding lands are gone. As the rail cannon is discharged from space and eliminates the party, the Big Bad, and the surrounding countryside from existence. And that is my favorite kill in a game. Anyway, yeah, that was a good time. Just, whenever you think something's bad, just keep in mind other people think it's bad, and the devs probably didn't want people to think it's bad, so they probably buffed it. Which is why poison is strong. Play a good Starfinder game? Yeah, right? Look, I don't know why anybody doesn't have 2 space stations. Just, you have your obvious space station, and then you have the second space station, which is hidden away behind it, so everyone's looking at the other one. And that's the real space station. That's how you do it. Also, just for funsies, I had also... I had plans set up for basically an entire subterranean, in the side of a mountain, like, drug manufacturing plant, which is pumping out tons of drugs all the time for money. Starfinder by Owlcat would be really cool. Like, that was the talk, right? It was either Iron Gods or Starfinder, and either one I'd be good with. Anyway, we've gone on a long tangent here. I'm going to go back to leveling up my character, who now qualifies for Winter Witch, Loremaster, and Assassin. And was that it? Arcane Trickster was the other one, right? Anyway, let's pick Assassin here. So, Assassin usually is a prestige class that you go into as a rogue, for obvious reasons. You get poison use, which is actually a fairly rare ability, all things considered. We'll find out in a second, actually. Yeah, you get poison use, which just gives you poison use. Every number of day they can create special combat poisons. The number of their doses equal to 3 plus assassin level, which they can use to envenom their melee weapons. Move action assassin can apply. This is different. Actually, is this a completely different class? It's not completely different, but that's definitely new. Because usually poison use is just, they get a poison. As a move action, assassin can apply one of the poisons to their melee weapon, and the next successful attack applies it to the target. Save DC of all poisons is 10 plus assassin level plus int modifier. Attack that applied the poison was a sneak attack. The DC is increased by 2. First level, an assassin has access to poisons that deal 1d4 stat damage to strength or dexterity for 4 rounds. At 3rd and 7th levels, the duration of the poisons increases by 1 round. At 5th level, an assassin gains access to poison that deals constitution damage. At 9th level, the number of successful saving throws needed to remove the poison increases to 2. At 10th level, it can apply as a swift action. Yes. Depending. Let me see something here. That's going to take... Well, let me take a second here. How's your antigrave war? Fine. Okay. So... yeah, there's no way to increase the DC specifically because there's no, it's based strictly off int. So what I was wondering was if Celestial Poisons was in this game, which it is not. It's very unfortunate. So the deal with that is Celestial Poisons is the usual go-to for this sort of thing. It allows you to bypass the immunities that undead and outsiders have from poisons, which would be great in this game, but unfortunately it's not here. It's an Alchemist discovery, of course. And of course, there's nothing like that in... there's nothing like that in Mythic either. So you can't really do anything there. I gotta take a level of this anyway, so I'll just do that, but... let me see something as well. It is... no. No. Okay, so they're missing a lot of stuff that would make it work. What they're missing is... yeah, including it in Ascendant Element would fix it. There's also a feat called Pernicious Poison, which is just like the Guild Poisoner ability, Pernicious Poison. And what it does is it allows you to increase the DC of a poison by 2 for every time you... for every sneak attack die that you use, it increases the poison by, you know, by 1. There's also one called Powerful Poisons, which does the same thing, but only if you're using power attack. So, there's a lot of stuff in here, but I don't... let me check Assassin here. Yeah, it just has poison use. This is a brand new ability they included, which is not useful in the least. Also, they get Death Attack at first level, which is probably there. Yeah. Yeah, so Assassin's actually not good. Like, that poison use ability is an extra bonus thing. It's not there normally, but it doesn't do anything 90% of the time, because you're fighting demons who are just flat immune to poison to begin with. It might work in story mode or something where it doesn't have that immunity, but generally speaking, this just does not work. Okay, you get Sneak Attack, which is Sneak Attack. You get Death Attack. You can make a special attack with a melee weapon against a target that doesn't know about the assassin. The attack has the additional effect of possibly either paralyzing or killing the target. It's a full round action. It fails if the target detects the assassin or recognizes the assassin as an enemy. Let's see. Fort save, which is every enemy's good save, basically. DC 10 plus assassin class level plus assassin's int modifier. Saving throw fails against the paralysis effect. The victim is rendered helpless and able to act for 1d6 rounds. At 10th level, it becomes a standard action. So this is technically feasible because it would have to work with. Hello, loot boxes. How are you doing? This is actually feasible, but you'd have to do it with invisibility. It is possible to be unnoticed as far as combat starts, but I think as soon as you attack once, it will end it. But it is decent for, like, if somehow you're fighting things that don't have true sight or anything like that, and you're able to just move through, it could work, but it's not great in this game. And finally, assassin proficiency. Traditional monk, primal druid. I mean, there's that shape-shifting stuff in the wild shape stuff in Mythic, which is good, so I don't think you're gonna have too much of a problem there. Okay, you got uncanny dodge, save against poison, which goes up to +5 there, which is not great. Sneak attack and poison use, increased duration, and yeah, constitution damage, hide in plain sight. 33 AC, jeez. Yeah, well, get some Wild Fang on there. Plus you have a natural spell, so you can buff yourself up while you're a druid. Okay, assassin can use the stealth skill even while being observed. Assassin can hide himself from view in the open without having anything to actually hide behind. Yeah, so this part is what it would be used for then. You'd use this thing to actually get up to... Yeah, well, the gimmick here... Actually, I don't think that's there originally either. Okay, no, it does have hide in plain sight. So, the main gimmick with it is you have the ability to hide in plain sight, which means you can bypass true sight assuming that your stealth bonus is high enough, right? So that means you can go in, you can stab somebody with the death attack, and then on the next round, attempt to stealth again, death attack something else, so on and so forth. It won't work? How come? It should work as long as they don't detect you. Actually, does Greyboard qualify for this? Interesting. Is that a limitation on the game then? That might just be a limitation on the game because you should theoretically be able to do it. Yeah, possibly wrong coding then. You should theoretically be able to do it in combat as long as you're stealthed or invisible or whatever. But if it's not working even then that's probably a problem with the game itself. Yeah, plus having the poison. Like, the poison is just gravy, but it is weird that there's a lot of stuff being tied to it. I suppose this is all brand new, though. Like, you get, what's the actual stuff you get here? Hidden weapons, you get a bonus to sleight of hand, which is a skill that does not exist in the game. You get true death. Things that are killed by an assassin are super dead and become harder to raise, which is not relevant in this game. Quiet death. Whenever an assassin kills a creature using his death attack during a surprise round, he can also make a stealth check to not be noticed, which is not really relevant in this game. And Angel of Death at level 10. That, again, is not useful in this game. Yeah. Yeah, it's really just like a problem with that. If you could hide in plain sight or do stuff after combat started. Is it? I don't see it. Unless it's like a thing that you have to level up for. Ah, well, it's weird. Anyway, the point is that it's true. This is not a great prestige class, mostly because of this. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into Inscription on Tuesday. Don't spoil anything for me. I'm super intrigued by what's going on with that game. Also, hello, Mugos Cow. How are you doing? Okay, maybe it is higher up here. In that case, ah, fair enough. Just don't get nightmares after Inscription. That might be it. You know what it might be? I wonder if the Fextra Life Wiki just copied it over from like the regular SRDs. Okay, so for this archetype though, or for this prestige class, oh man, I'm so psyched for Elden Ring. I'm playing. I'm part of the reason why I'm playing Demon Souls is to get ready for it. Anyway, for this, I could see this being something to. Okay, yeah, basically this is an avoid prestige class until they fix the hide in plain sight thing with the death attack, because that's something. If there was something in here as well that allowed poisons to work against demons, then this would definitely be a useful prestige class, because this is the only thing that actually uses poison, I think, in the game. Apart from, like, the poison spell. But most things just being flat immune to poison means that it's not worthwhile getting. Like, what do you get out of this? You get sneak attack, you get the death attack that only works because it's not because of broken combat stuff, and then you get hide in plain sight, which is not useful in this instance, and saves against poison. It's not. There's nothing in here worth getting if the class itself at the basic level does not function. Oh god. Unkillable squirrels would be really good, yeah. I bet. That would be super sick to get on the squirrels, honestly. Make mythical allow you to yeah. Mythical ability to allow poison resistance, or even just add celestial poisons back in. Greater Vital Strike from stealth. Well, I mean, you go take Rowdy Rogue and go into this, and it's basically the same thing. It actually is the same thing. But yeah, it's yeah, it's just very unfortunate that whatever the issue is, this prestige class just does not work. Either that's intended and it's just a useless prestige class, or it just does not work in general. It's very unfortunate. So I could see this being something, you do this with a Rowdy or a regular Rogue, you get the sneak attack stacking up, and you get that stuff, you get high stealth so you can bop things from the darkness. Or you, if they added poison stuff in, then Pernicious Poison, if they added that in, would be super cool, but there's too much stuff missing from the game for it to work. Maybe this prestige class can be saved by modding in the future, once they add mod support in. Make a thing called the Better Assassin mod pack, which just adds like all that stuff in to fix it. Alas, not much you can do about that. So let's move on to a class which is actually kind of busted, the Loremaster. Well, yeah, because hide in plain sight is always busted. Like, that's the Shadow Dancer having that as a epic. The Shadow Dancer having access to what is an epic level ability was crazy enough by itself. Like, that's the only reason anyone I ever knew took Shadow Dancer, just to get hide in plain sight. Oh, so you're just sitting in shadow, just letting everyone else fight for you? Yeah, Shadow Dancer was cool, but again, it's like a weird prestige class. Oh, you mean ranged Legerdemain? From the Arcane Trickster? No, I've used it a couple times. It's real strong, just when it works. So Shadow Dancer, if I remember correctly, most of what it does was actually not that crazy. Like, the big one was shadow dancing and being able to hide in shadow. Just as long as you're within 10 foot of a shadow, you're able to hide in plain sight. At first level, which is really good. Let's see. You get evasion, dark vision, uncanny dodge. Then you get to summon a shadow to fight alongside you. You can teleport through shadow, and I believe that was about it. Like, it was a cool, flavorful prestige class, but it's not that strong, all things considered. Oh, I mean, that's basically it. Oh, right. You're probably asking Star-Lord. Anyway, let's get back to Loremaster. But there's actually, like, a lot of traps that you need to disable from behind the trap, which is why Legendary Man is very handy. Even if Nenyo doesn't have the ability to use it well. Anyway, Loremaster. So this is a prestige class, which I was only really clued in on how fucking busted this is later on. And I have to take a level in it to explain why. So, it is a half BAB prestige class. Oh yeah, in pen and paper it is gray, yeah. Also opens the container at any range? Wait, what do you mean at any range? Like... That's interesting. Oh, that's actually really funny. Oh, I see. So you let the unseen servant that you summon to do the lockpicking, and then when it opens, you just get to loot it. That's really funny, actually. All right, so here's Loremaster. So Loremaster is, generally speaking, a fairly weak prestige class. It is a half BAB prestige class. Oh, did they fix Loremaster? Oh. Well, it's still kind of ridiculous, even if they did fix it. It's a half prestige thing. You get to pick a spell book and advance your spells if you're a caster, because it's a caster-based thing. Yeah, you get lore, which adds bonuses to skill checks. But most importantly, you get secrets. And let's take a look at what the secrets are here. So, you get Fortitude Secret, Reflex Secret, and Will Secret, which adds +2 to your saves. You get Wizard Feat, which lets you grab various things. Okay, I can't select Bolster. Good. So you get to select Greater Elemental Focus, Greater Spell Focus, Elemental Focus, Combat Casting, Augment Summoning, Greater Spell Penetration. Nothing too crazy there. Although you might notice Spell Penetration and Greater Spell Penetration are both here. You get Rogue Secret. If you were taking levels in, say, Arcane Trickster, you could technically qualify for this, which would let you grab Rogue Tricks early if you wanted to. Not that I actually think there's any Rogue Tricks that you need to grab early here, but you probably could. And finally, you get Combat Feat. Combat Feat gives you access to literally every combat feat, including ones you don't qualify for, just for free. You just get one of these for free. So, for example, you can take any of the Crane Wing feats. You can take Mounted Shield, Mounted Combat, even if you don't have a mount. You can get Greater 2-Weapon Fighting, just right off the bat. You can also get heavy barding proficiency if you want to wear horse armor. And so on and so forth. And that is just fucking ridiculous. You can also get, let's see, where's... There it is. You can get Greater Vital Strike right off the bat if you want. Yeah, just, you know, cheeky level 6 or whatever, just Greater Vital Strike. No big deal. MBD, nothing big, you know, just getting the ability to deal 4 times your base damage. No problem. Ah, okay. So this is not supposed to be happening. Gotcha. And let's just check here. If it's still present. Yes, there we go. Improved critical, improved critical, improved critical, improved critical, improved. The feats available only to the Trickster Mythic Path are currently here to take. Now let me just take a look at the patch notes then, since I want to see exactly what this says. Let's see. Pathfinder. We want to look at update history. And I want to go to full patch notes. So let's see what this says about Loremaster. Loremaster, in some cases when possible, select Loremaster, Donkey's Crasser level. Loremaster could get any combat feat as a secret, ignoring the prerequisites. Fixed. We'll have to see what that does then. Ah, yes, of course. That was the main thing blocking me from getting improved, critical, improved. Not having 2 perception. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see, I guess, in a little bit. Oh, okay. I wasn't, oh, I see. Okay. Two-wheeled... Nature Oracle 1, Scale Fist 2, Witch of the Veil 1, Paladin 2, Instinctual Warrior 2, Arcane Enforcer 1, Vivisectionist 2, Hellknight 1, Sword Saint 6. Yeah, that's a hell of a build. What even are you doing with that? Like, let me... Okay, so your Oracle 1, which gets you natural armor, I think. Scale Fist 2, Charisma to AC. Witch of the Veil, I think, gets you bonuses to sneak. Paladin 2 gets you Charisma to saves. Instinctual Warrior 2 gives you Wisdom bonuses. Arcane Enforcer, I don't remember. Vivisectionist 2 for sneak attack. Hellknight 1. And then Sword Saint 6 into AC. So you're getting Charisma and... Oh, okay. So you're getting Charisma and... Charisma to saves and AC, into AC, Wisdom boosts... okay, so Instinctual Warrior does give Wisdom to AC, okay. So... Alright, okay then. Let's get all your stats to AC then. Too bad you can't get Fist of the Forest in there to add your strength to AC. Oh, well, have fun. That's a mess of a build. That's even worse than the one I was doing. Christ. Okay, anyway, Oh, Jesus. It's almost been 4 hours. I gotta focus down here. We're almost done here. We're almost done here. Oh, okay. Okay, ice plant in the ring. That makes sense. Alright, anyway, so that's Loremaster. It might be worse in a little bit when they add the patches in, but currently it's a little nuts. Also, yeah, that's weird. Why do I have Cleric spell and Druid spell and Wizard spell here, but not here? That's weird. Right, but I don't know why it's missing from the thing is my main point. Anyway, Winter Witch. Okay, that would do it then. Got it. Alright, so Winter Witch. This is a prestige class, like I said before, which was added in the Reign of Winter adventure path, because it's all about winter witches and stuff. So, we have the ability to, amongst other things, cold specialization. What this does is adds bonuses to your cold spells, which is better when there's the rhyme spell meta magic, but it's not as bad here because you still have like Ice Prison and that sort of thing. Actually, come to think of it, there might be a cold thing. There is a lightning bracer that makes it so all your spells become lightning, so maybe there's a cold one? That would be pretty good. Let's get into AC with Swords. Yeah, well, yeah, it's a mess of a build. I can't argue with its effectiveness, but I can argue with how bad it looks. Just from the text block that you posted there. Alright, so Winter Witch levels stack with Shaman levels to determine the power of Shaman Hexes and Frost Spirit abilities, and with Witch levels to determine the power of Witch Hexes and access to Major and Grand Hexes, and for acquiring Patron spells. I see. So you're going for unfair. Got it. Good luck with that run. Increasing the cast level by 1. At 6th level, buffs increased by 2. Did they really... Okay, there it is. Yeah, man, that's good AC. My Duelist build had an AC of like what, 70 something by the end of it. It wasn't that high. I also just used an old build, which didn't work quite as well when transfer over to the game. So hey, I tried. +2 AC while active. Also changes your type from humanoid to plant. End of Act 3. Oof. Okay, yeah, so you're doing way better than I did then. Ha! Anyway, so here's the main thing that you go into Winter Witch for. You get the ability called Unearthly Cold at level 8, which makes it so that your spells do cold damage, but also half of it is so cold that it bypasses immunity to cold. Which is not useful in this game because you can just take Ascendant Element and not have to take 8 levels of Prestige class. The other things you could go here for are bonuses to caster level and DC. So caster level here increases by 2, and then DC increases to 3, but it's probably not worth going into this unless you really, really, really need the caster level boost to your cold stuff. It's not really a great prestige class. Otherwise, it's just Witch, but if you want to go for cold specifically. Cast level applies to all spells, not just cold. Nope, it's only cold. Okay, well if it's working on things that... Oh, the DC? Okay, the caster... Okay, the caster levels increase. Okay, yeah. So the caster level increase does stack. The cold DC things are only for cold, which kinda dumb. Like, okay, so again, this is another really niche prestige class where if you want to focus on cold spells, if you want to do Ascendant Element Cold, this is probably decent, but you're probably better off just not, really. Getting the caster level boosts and the DC boost is okay, but it's kind of a nothing burger, really. Okay, 24-hour buffs, that makes sense. Oh yeah, yeah. I know you can stack it out of combat with Cackle. I tried that out one time. I tried to get it over 5 minutes so that it would become a 24-hour buff, but it didn't work. I was a little disappointed by that. But yeah, so that's anyway, that's Winter Witch. It's kind of a nothing burger of a class. It especially in this game, you could take it if you want, but it's doesn't have much to go with it. Alright, and we're finally the very last one. After almost 4 hours of going over prestige classes, we're finally at Arcane Trickster. So, Arcane Trickster is a rogue prestige class. It's basically the thing you go into if you're an Eldritch Scoundrel, or you just are a wizard with like 1 level of rogue, and then you take accomplished sneak attacker, which is very appreciated that I don't have to take 3 levels of rogue anymore. So what this does is, in addition to letting you continue your spell casting, it gives you ranged legerdemain, which lets you use lockpicking at range, which in this game is actually valuable because there's a couple traps that will activate only based on things that are set up beyond the trap. So just being able to turn them off from a distance is very appreciated. You get sneak attack progression. You get impromptu sneak attack, which is a funky little ability. It's actually not terrible. Which allows you to just, a couple times per day, just immediately sneak attack something, regardless of what's going on. Even if they're not flanked, even if they know you're there, you can just sneak attack them, which is pretty handy. You also get here, it's more impromptu sneak attacks. You get Invisible Thief, and 9th level an Arcane Trickster can become invisible as if under the effects of greater invisibility as a free action. She can remain invisible for a number of rounds per day equal to her Arcane Trickster level. Caster level for this effect is equal to her caster level. The rounds need not be consecutive. So that lets you just sneak attack anytime you want. Just pop on as a free action, turn invisible, pop it off. And finally, the big mama, the big daddy of Arcane Trickster, the one that you actually stick all the way through to level 10 for, surprise spells. This is one of the best prestige class abilities in the game, just from a pure damage standpoint. At 10th level, an Arcane Trickster can add her sneak attack damage to any spell that deals damage if the targets are flat-footed. This additional damage only applies to spells that deal hit point damage, and the additional damage is of the same type as the spell. The spell allows a saving throw to negate or halve the damage. It also negates or halves the sneak attack damage. So, what you do with this one is you take your Arcane Trickster, you use, say, bolstered magic missile, and you magic missile somebody, and each one of the magic missiles deals sneak attack damage. Or you take a fireball and you cast at somebody, and the fireball sneak attacks everybody in the fireball zone. This is a ridiculous ability, and if you build right for it, it can just pump out an insane amount of damage. Rays, yes, except that Rays already do that. It doesn't work on Magic Missile? Really? Oh, man. Anyway, so the trick about Rays is they actually do already apply sneak attack damage because they are technically attacks. But this just happens to work on things like, Bone Shaker deals damage. Oh, man, that's lame. Alright, well, not Magic Missile then. But Fireball does work. Fireball totally works with it. Bone Shaker, Harm, Scorching Ray if you want to fire off multiple Scorching Rays. Just anything of that kind. I want to say actually it doesn't have the line about hit point damage in the original version, because there's a lot of weird stuff where like things do negative energy damage or like negative levels, but I don't remember offhand. Oh, Firestorm. Oh, plus damage and dice from bloodlines work perfectly. Ooh, okay, yeah, that's good stuff. But yeah, this is a very strong ability. I realize now, a little too late, that Nenyo probably can't actually get it, because I think Nenyo is a level 10 wizard. What is Nenyo's level? Nope, Nenyo could get it, but it'll be level 20. Firestorm again and Prophet. Oh, God. But anyway, yeah. That's why Arcane Trickster is like one of the best ones, though. It really is, because getting the ability to just throw on all that extra damage dice for a sneak attack is incredible. Just being able to just pump out all that damage is incredible. Yeah, I'm still going. I'm gonna stop soon because I'm done with the prestige classes, but I am still going for right now. Yeah, so that's all the prestige classes. I managed to go through all of them. Yeah. Oh boy, that was a lot longer than I was expecting it to be. I was gonna go like, oh yeah, I'll just pop on for like an hour, or maybe an hour and a half, and no, it's 4 hours. It's a 4-hour stream of just going through the prestige classes. And anecdotes and talking and shooting the shit, but also just prestige classes. Ugh. Anyway, yeah. So that's all the prestige classes. Generally speaking, not that great. There's a couple gems, there's a couple small things, but mostly probably shouldn't bother unless you have a specific thing you're going to. I did the... Okay, so I did all the race-specific classes way back when I did the first stream. I did a 2-hour deep dive onto all the regular classes and archetypes. This was just me going through just the prestige classes, which I had left before. Any I liked? The only one I really remember is the Halfling one. The Halfling Cavalier. What was it? Cavalier of the Paw, yeah. Just because you get to ride a dog. Oh, because the prestige classes are better in 5e? I mean, that's fair. I think in 2nd edition, they're also like weird archetypes instead of being full classes. But yeah, just in general, let's see, what are the good ones here? Duelist. Okay, so let's see here. Stalwart Defender, I guess, is good in specific situations. Dragon Disciple, again, good in specific situations. Hellknight Signifier, very good. Mystic Theurge, weird. Duelist, decent, not great. Student of War. Basically, just go for Mind over Metal. Aldori Swordlord, not bad, but focused on dueling swords. Eldright Knight, cool, but only if you're going for a wizard fighter multi-class kind of thing. Or a magus. And Winter Witch, bad. Loremaster, broken at the moment in multiple ways. Assassin, bad. Arcane Trickster, good. Well, in 5e, isn't it less prestige class and more like you pick a path for your class to go down? Cult leader is the cleric, right? No. It's cult leader. War priest. Okay, let's go here. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it's not in tabletop. Okay, where's War Priest? And I want archetypes. Oh, no, Cult Leader is totally in tabletop. There's another Cult Leader archetype that's for Mesmer, I think. Or Mesmerist, but yeah, okay, there's one here. So let's see here. Weapon armor proficiency. Well hidden. Cult Leader gains a +2 bonus on disguise and stealth checks. This ability replaces focus weapon. +2 bonus on stealth checks. And loses proficiency. Spontaneous casting. Sacred weapon is kept, though. Sneak attack, which is right there. Which replaces bonus combat feats. Yep, 3rd, 9th, and 15th level. Yep, 3rd, 9, 15. Enthrall. At 4th level, a cult leader can cast Enthrall. Using this ability consumes 2 uses of fervor. Try to fascinate all enemies in a 30-foot radius. If the enemies fail their will saving throw, they are fascinated for a number of rounds equal to your wisdom modifier. Using this ability consumes 2 uses of fervor. And hide in plain sight at level 12. As long as he was within 10 feet of an area of dim light. Okay, so level 12. Hide in plain sight. There it is. Okay, so if I remember correctly... What's Fascinate? Not in the game. Should be implementing something else. Well, Fascinate is just like... Fascinate is basically Daze, except that you're focused on a specific thing. Let's see. Thereafter, those affected give you their undivided attention, ignoring their surroundings. They're considered to have an attitude of friendly. So, yeah, basically they become non-combatants for as long as the effect is active. Yeah, give it a shot. Try it out. See how it works. But yeah, it is in there. Anyway, yeah, that's we're gonna leave that one today. I got sucked into this more than I was expecting. Yeah, well, thanks for stopping by, everybody. It's weird impromptu stream. I honestly did not expect people to show up because I was just gonna like stream it, talk to myself for 2 hours, and then be done. But here we are, 4 hours later. So yeah, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for joining me on this. I'll be playing the actual game for realsies on Thursday. Like, actually doing the stuff and going through Illusionera. And yeah, tomorrow is Monday, which means my usual mishmash of random games that I'll be playing. And yeah, so close the interface. So while we're here, let's see, is anyone else streaming Pathfinder right now? I'll send you on over to there so you can say hi. And over to there so you can say hi. Don't talk. Don't make noise. Anyway, yeah. Go say hi to them. Let's see who's the one to pick. Oh, there I am. How about over to this person? Looks like they're palling around over in Dresden right now. So I'll send you over to Vazrikj. So go say hi to them. Otherwise, thanks for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your days. Have a nice evening, what have you. And hopefully see you next time. Like I said, I'll be back on Thursday with that. Otherwise, see ya.